Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Unified Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier. We are ready to get into a whole new series. It's a whole new world. If you're just now joining us, Travesty, joined here with Smats, Bacon, and Qualifier. Gents, we've got a fun series in front of us here. Golden Guardians Academy, IMT, coming up behind that fun series from 100 Thieves and Winthrop. So first, we're going to go ahead and start it with my boy Smats here. Smats, how you feeling going into this series?
I think this is going to be a really close one. No offense to Winthrop. I think this one will probably end up being closer than the last series. I would expect it to go to 3 games as well. I think both these teams are coming in pretty hot. Immortals in specific has not lost a single game since their first best of 3 in the tournament, which I think is a really big deal. That's also true of 100 Thieves Next, who they just won and made it to finals. So, math.
Basic math. The formula is there. Equally, my boy, Qualifier, you looked like you were a little bit impressed by the equation. Do you have an equation of your own that you've been running here?
Yeah, so, I mean, first, I want to give a little credit to Winthrop. They did make those games closer than we thought they would be, but definitely, I mean, if people are expecting close games for this series, and they're even closer than expected, we're going to have some real bangers on our hands. And very similar to the last series, like I was saying for the last series, like, oh, these teams are trying to poise themselves, you know, to be at the top of the bracket, right? This is super big because these two teams are close. People don't really know like where they exactly lie. And so they can really stake their claim here and get the opportunity to prove themselves against 100 Thieves Next, which could be, you know, a big deal for momentum moving forward. So this matchup is really hype.
Can you hold all these bangers that are in your hands right now, apparently?
I mean, like I said, following up of what Smack said, I think this series is going to be a lot more close than it was. From the last set of series, I think we're really going to prep for a Game 3 series. Yeah, like Qualifier said, this is going to be like a stepping stone going into the finals to see which team can really separate themselves amongst these 3 teams now that are left in the rest of the tournament.
One's an academy team, one is that LCS affiliation. We want to go ahead and start looking at some of these head-to-heads here between these 2 squads looking to tango with one another. And we're going to start up with the top side of the map as we've got a little bit of a story here between Tony Top and Anime Girl Qualifier, if you would.
Yeah, so this matchup should be super interesting. Both the players are relatively new. Tony Top's been around a little bit longer. Anime Girl is very fresh. But, you know, they're 2 sort of more decently young players who are really trying to make their mark as some of those top players. You know, it's hard to have the same momentum behind you as a player like General Sniper, but that's where they're trying to build to, right? And this series could be huge for either of them, right? Tony Top cementing himself as, you know, really one of those tops to look out for in Academy. And Anime Girl, this new fresh face on the scene saying like, hey, come on, put me in Academy already, right? Like, I'll play an amateur a little bit, I'll have some fun, but get me up there. You know, it has amazing KDA, amazing damage per minute. The CS per minute is a little bit lower. That's because Anime Girl's played a few tanks. I remember watching Anime Girl Mundo the other week. That went a little bit crazy, but, you know, not as crazy power farming, right? So this matchup should be super interesting and should be very indicative of how this series is going to go.
And looking at it, there's another role that I'm very interested in. Not because I'm biased, because, you know, I play support. But looking at the support role, there's been a very fun storyline. We've had a very fast improving support on one side, and we've had somebody who has been staple, just very good over on the other side. Smats, these 2 players here from IMT and Golden Guardians Academy, they're about to clash against one another.
Yeah, the supports on these teams are really interesting. I think it's no secret that they are in lane with 2 really solid AD carries in Stixay and Meech. But both of these guys have had some ridiculous roams. You can see that Chime is almost at 75% kill participation by himself. That is super, super insane, just getting around the map the entire game long. I've also been really impressed by Trevor's mechanics, specifically on this Thresh that we're showing right here. His Thresh has been top-notch. Every single time that you get into a skirmish with this guy, you know you are going to get crowd controlled by this champion. I would personally expect that if Golden Guardians are coming into this series, they're probably going to look at that champion to ban away, or perhaps play this counter pick that Chime has been locking it into the Thresh as well with the Blitzcrank. I've really liked that counter pick for him. His roams have been really solid with this pick as well. I think these two players are some of the peak mechanics that we're going to see across all 10 players in the series.
Now, Vegan, do you agree? Because we have the roster right here. Is there a spot that you're keeping your eyes on?
I like to draw my eyes and my attention towards more so the jungle side of this match is going to be played out, because Iconic and Winston are both two players that are rather veteran compared to like a lot of other people currently in Amateur and Academy, where they've both been playing for years at around the same level. Iconic has some LCS experience on Golden Guardians, and Winston's been around with like some TSM Academy experience and dropping back down to Amateur. But like the strength of both of these players is how much they're willing to actually play to their teams. And I kind of like to think of this matchup as like two duos in a way, where Immortals has a really strong duo, like inseparable between Meech and Trevor, because these two have played together for forever. Like they've been a bot lane duo that's been very, very solid. Whereas the side of Chime and Iconic, you can see from Chime's kill participation that they're a lot more proactive in like making plays together, which is why that their KP is so high. So it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic of how GG controls the map, whereas how Immortals plays through their strengthened bot lane duo.
Now, I have to ask you, is Winston a madman for the way he's been ganking? This person's been like level 2 Diana ganking people, like straight up. Like, is it okay? Is everything all right?
The name of the game is that jungle is weak this season. All right, I'll just come out and say it. Crab has been removed from the game. It doesn't matter if you get both crabs. If you get both first crabs, they give less XP than a normal camp. So all you got to do is just sack everything for your laners, because we're in like a Jinx Victor Corki meta, bro. Jungle is weak. Pick your Jarvan. Pick your Xin Zhao. No more carries.
A man after my own heart, really.
Yeah, you can see like Winston's playing Diana like these other characters, because it doesn't matter anymore. Your farm as a jungler doesn't matter. Jungle diff is laner diff. I'll put it down.
The best champion with Smite right now is Janna, so you might be
It's
honest.
Janna, baby. Like.
Janna followed by like what? Karma
We
and
gotta
then
get Lolo
Zillion.
on here. To see
Yeah, we
that.
do.
He's been running a tear.
Well, seeing as things could go into this, talking about people who might have things right, we have things that might be a little bit more split apart, and it's the caster predictions. I want to go ahead and throw over to that, because this was actually split up pretty decently going into today's matchup, and y'all were talking about how hyped up, how close it may be. Some may say banger on our hands, as here it is, and you can see it's more in the favor of Golden Guardians Academy. How do y'all feel about that?
It makes sense. They're the Academy team on the block. The only team that they've lost to is 100 Thieves next, and that was in the open qualifier. And Immortals has had some struggles throughout this tournament. They did lose their first series right off the bat to the Throppers, by the way. I personally, despite all of those things, am actually favoring Immortals just slightly in this series. I really do believe in their momentum, their improvement that has been really steady all throughout. I firmly believe that their bottom lane is one of the best mechanical duos that we have in this entire tournament, and I do actually think that they have a pretty solid advantage in top lane. Now, you might look at that and be like, wow, are you kidding me? Like, Tony Top's really solid. I think he's really good when he has counterpick, and that's not always something that he can get. Anime Girl is going to be on red at least once in this series if they do want to be, if both teams want red, which I think they should. And in those instances where we've seen Tony Top play blue side and play blind pick, it's not looked as good. Whereas we haven't seen that same inconsistency from Anime Girl. So I think the floor for these players a little bit higher for Anime Girl. I definitely admire that consistency from this player. He's been really wowing me in the laning phase and in the team fights.
Fakin, how are you feeling going into the series? You agree with Smats?
I'd agree that the series is going to be kind of close, but I think it might more so lean towards the side of Golden Guardians. I think if they're going to win, it's going to be a 2-1 on their favor, mainly just through how I expect them to play through the map and actually provide those resources to players like Tony and to play through mid lane, where like they have an impressive bot lane for sure on the side of Immortals, but you need more than just one strong side to win games consistently.
Yeah. And Qualifier, you feeling the same? Where are you vibing?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much gonna have to echo what Bacon is putting out there. I think that Immortals have some really strong threats, right? Their bot lane, the fact that Winston is this crazy ganker going over the place, right? Anime Girl, super solid. But when you look at their matchups, it's like, okay, Meech Trevor have to play against Stixay Chime, right? It's not going to be easy, right? Winston's going up against one of the most veteran players in Amateur Academy with Iconic, right? Who has this LCS experience. So I think, while they were maybe able to pull these things off against teams that, weren't quite as strong on paper, these are going to be some tough matchups, and they're going to have to really, really execute well to come out on top. And I think Golden Guardians has the slight edge.
Slight edge being built there. What do you think? Use the hashtag #WeAreUnified to let us know what you think. Anything about the matchup that you want to know. Your most private questions. Mine, personally, is who is Anime Girl favorite anime girl? That's what I really want to know. That's my deep question that I want to present to the audience. So make sure you go ahead and use that. We are unified. Use it to whatever means you may possibly have. You can repeat my question too. Let's see what we can find out together. But speaking of together, we have a series to get on our hands. Apparently the banger is here. So, ladies and gents, Jolly, Beatdown, take it on away.
Thank you, Travesty. I think Beatdown, I'm pretty sure this is the first time that both of our predictions have actually lined up. Because we both went with GGA on this one, right? This is
Yes. Yeah.
I guess it's only out of the two series, right? Normally we have the two kind of on the Academy stream, we have the two on the Unified EA stream. But I think I'm pretty certain this is the first time we have decided that the same teams are gonna take this one.
Yeah.
But I do think, there's a lot to be said about Immortals. The Dust did a great job of talking about Winston, Anime Girl in particular. You and I were just talking about last week. We got to cast them during the quarterfinals against, it was Taco Gaming, and it was the Tryndamere Pentakill that we ended up seeing here out of Shochi. So definitely something that I'm assuming Golden Guardians is not really going to want to let that one through, because we have seen Tryndamere actually picked even earlier on. UCI picked Tryndamere. The game did not go in their favor, right? So they ban out Tryndamere. It's going to start out pretty standard, though. Golden Guardians is on the blue side here to start things out. The Thresh is taken away here from Trevor Roy, so no pickup for them. Smart move by Golden Guardians, and they will block another champion that is just too strong right now in the early parts of the game. You really can't let it go through.
And of course, the 6A ban, aka the Ezreal ban, is coming through. You got to put some respect on his name. The dude's win rate on the champion is actually absurd here. And I agree with Smax. This is definitely going to be the closer of the two series we have on the night. It's going to be really exciting. I think IMT AOE, even though I didn't say they were going to win, they definitely have a pretty good shot at doing so. And I agree, this is going to be a Game 3 series, almost certainly. I think especially because IMT are a team where it is going to be a little draft dependent, but they like to look for a lot of these early jungle skirmishes using their jungle support timers. And what they end up doing is that if Winston and Trevor manage to find these angles in the early game, more often than not, they will ride that all the way to a win here. And I think that's how they're going to end up taking a win, maybe two, off of Golden Guardians Academy. And that's why I like the Thresh pick being taken away, because even though Trevor's mechanics have been good overall, they've been particularly just exquisite on the Thresh pick. So now we're going to see what else he's going to grab for himself. Of course, things like Leona, Nautilus are still up on the table.
Yeah, Enchantresses have been really strong, but I think you and I kind of agree that when it comes to having a front line, having crowd control, right, you might as well put that into the hands of a support as opposed to forcing like your top laner, for instance, onto an initiator or somebody who can throw down some crowd control and offer that frontline ability, soak up some of the aggro. Golden Guardians is going to lock in their first pick right here. It's going to be the Twisted Fate for Ryoma. We've been seeing a lot of the Twisted Fate, a lot of the Victor coming through from this player. They are incredibly strong right now, but Ryoma is absolutely a standout in the mid lane. I mean, across really all the teams in Proving Grounds here.
Yeah, the flexibility, like the different looks we've seen from this player and subsequently GGA as a whole is so impressive. I mean, Ryoma, really strong player. I believe it was last year. He spent all of last year on 100 Thieves Academy. Now he's here on Golden Guardians, and the dude is nuts. Last week, he played the Lucian to absolutely just dismantle, rip apart the no team and Blaze in the mid lane. And now this time around, he can also play really well on these Twisted Fate picks, that ability to shove, try to help other parts of the map and try to get them ahead so you can play for these other lanes.
Yeah, it's of course the Destiny that's really going to come in handy for GGA because they're a team that wants to try to push hard and heavy from the early parts of the game, right? They look for some of those sneaky plays. As soon as that Destiny is up and available, it's something they're going to go with. And I do like to see the hover over this for Stixxay. Of course, we're talking about standout players, right? Sure, you're not going to get the Ezreal. The Caitlyn is just kind of perma-banned. We rarely see the Caitlyn come through unless there is already a response kind of in the pockets or in the hands of the opposing ADC. But Aphelios is huge. Man, the Calibrum, the amount of damage that you're capable of doing with that, following it up with, the long range on the ultimate is super helpful for a lot of these team fights to where Stixxay is going to be able to stay safe, stay back, stay near Chime. And Chime is, honestly, I was just looking at it, the longest lasting player on GGA. This is all, a new roster for this Proving Grounds. Last Proving Grounds was completely different. And hey, there's a reason that Chime is still on this team, right, P-Town?
Honestly, Chime is so good. Like he should be in the LCS. If I'm being honest, like this dude is an insane player. They highlighted the Blitzcrank when they were talking about him on the desk. The dude is nuts on that pick here, and that's why I'm really interested in what supports we're gonna see. Immortals AOE go for here. We're gonna see the Victor. So you have the Victor Jinx. A lot of late game scaling, a lot of late game just hyper carry potential here. And I imagine both teams are just gonna start to pinch out a bit on the top pool and a bit on the support pool, especially on GGA side, being able to take away more engaged picks for Trevor. And I wonder if they're going to end up going the Enchanter route, just because of the fact that, you could technically go Lulu if you wanted to try and buff up the Xin. The shields will be really nice later on, considering you're going to be outranging GGA for the most part. The thing that's interesting to me, though, is because that means Chime, unless it's banned away, will likely go for the Blitzcrank here. And I actually think the pick potential would be kind of insane, especially when you consider the two immobile carries on the side of Immortals AOE. So it's already shaping up to be a pretty solid Blitzcrank game. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and we know that these supports are kind of the sacrificial lambs, right? If it's a situation too where you've got like a roam coming out of Chime, for instance, coming down, you're going to be able to pull anybody away potentially from the ADC, and that's where that support says, hey, you know what, I will die for you. It doesn't really matter. We are going to see the Nautilus ban though, and of course, on the other side, Immortals says, hey, we don't want to allow something like the Braum to come through. We already talked about how busted Concussive Blows is as a passive on that champion. The Renekton targeting Tony Top. He's been doing incredibly well on the Renekton, even into counter pickups and things like that. So you got to consider too that, man, this top lane is going to be a pretty big point of contention, but just like the last series, I can imagine we're going to kind of go to the old days of this island in the top lane. We are seeing the hover on the Lulu.
Are they going to do it?
They're going to lock it in.
Come on. Blitzcrank. Let me see it. Of course, it makes sense. Immortals AOE, they want to give that they have to pick support here. Give Anime Girl the best matchup here on 5 into Tony Top. And there's still a lot of good top lane options here, but we're really digging deep into the support pool. If we don't see Blitz, it would have to be like other kind of course, we're going to see the Blitzcrank. See, that's what I'm like to see here. It's just really nice for GGA's comp. Like overall, like you can really, if you pull the Lulu in the early levels, like it's done. Summoner's blown, maybe dies anyway, and it's done deal here. And the thing too, I talk about Ryoma and how much damage he did in the mid lane towards No Team, towards Blaze last week in the quarterfinals, but a lot of that was also Chime applying so much pressure in the mid lane. Smack said it on the desk. This dude is all over the map from minute 1. The kill participation from minute 1 is insane, and that's something that Shochi's gonna have to look for, especially you're playing something like the Victor.
Yeah, and as Stixxay on this Aphelios too, you are totally fine, right? Being alone in this lane, with the ability to swap through these weapons, and probably likely, as he's always kind of got Calibrum in the back pocket, right? In case a fight comes out, in case you need to get some additional damage onto a fight that you're trying to continue on. Definitely helpful. Another thing to look at on the side of Immortals AOE is, they've got these initiators in this front line, but really who's going to be able to soak up a ton of damage? It's going to be tough. It's all on Anime Girl and Winston, so we're going to expect, probably the same kind of build that we were seeing in the last matchup, in the Chem Tank being taken in here for this top laner. But Gwen and Viego, these are the two champions. I always talk about it. If I see the two of them together or if I see them individually, right, these are champions that they can play from behind. They can get behind. When you get to the later stages of the game, you get like 3 items really on either of them. The Zonias for the Gwen as that 3rd item. So really just kind of like a utility-based one.
It's nuts.
And their survivability is insane. We've seen some crazy plays. Tony Top has played this Gwen quite a bit and had it banned against him in the past. So I feel like GGA is actually pretty comfortable with what they have been able to lock in for this match.
Yeah, I really like GGA's composition here, and especially, like I talk about it all the time, having early game agency is super important, especially at this level of play, where you are able to find a lot of openings for something to really go down here. That's why I don't think Immortals AOE are done just in draft here. I mean, you still have Jinx, you still have the Victor, you do have a good front line, I think, here, in my opinion. When you think about Zen and the Gragas, I think they'll serve their purposes really well. It's just early in the game, the first couple of minutes, much like I was looking at Mordio in the Winthrop series versus 100 Next, I am looking at Winston to see what he's going to be able to do in the early games. He's not a Zen player who's going to power farm until level 6 before he sees another one of his laners. So I do expect a lot of early play here, especially like I was highlighting it as we got into draft select. That is how Immortals AOE play. A lot of aggression from the jungle role and usually from the support role. Although seeing Trevor on the Lulu this time around doesn't make me think we're going to see as much of it from him here, at least in game 1. And I think that's what's going to give Golden Guardians Academy this opportunity in the early minutes of the game for Chime to be able to move around the map and make moves. As soon as Ryoma hits level 6, he's going to be able to make moves, and considering how much stronger Stix A is going to be in that laning phase, there's a lot that GGA can do early on to be able to play this game, make plays, get ahead.
Yeah, get ahead. And I do think maybe that's a challenge, right? They've got that frontline initiation, but if they get far behind, Gragas and Xin Zhao don't really want to be the ones to soak up the majority of the damage there. Before we get into the game, of course, I do have a little bit more information here for the Unified Premier Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier. If you want to compete in more amateur esports at one of the highest levels here in NA, Unified Premier is the place to be this spring, of course, as this is the Winter Close Qualifier. So with 3 seasons annually, over $27,000 in prizing just this spring. Amateur and collegiate League of Legends and Valorant teams are invited to apply now. It's through January 24th at midnight. I'm not sure why I've got that, because it's obviously a week past that. Of course, there is $4,000 prizing each month just with the unified community. The Platinum League, Gold League, ARAM League. By the way, yes, there is an ARAM League. So anyone who
wait, I want to play in that.
Like
Hold on.
This is monthly. So go to unified.gg/C. And you can filter it by the community games there. I've been waiting for something like this for a very long time. So you can apply, for these monthly things. It is community, right? It's not restricted to teams that have to qualify in kind of like these close qualifiers have occurred here. So definitely keep an eye on the website and keep an eye on the Twitter page, all that good stuff, right, to see what else is coming through from Premier, because, man, there's a lot of good stuff coming from this group.
There's just so much going on here at Unified year long, and that's just one of many examples, or actually 2 of many examples, because again, that ARAM tournament is very enticing. Yeah. When are they going to release ranked ARAM, Riot? Come on.
For real.
I see it.
That or bring Dominion back, just like, appease me in some way.
I don't actually know what that is.
What?
What?
I guess depends on when you started playing. I didn't start playing until like 5, as we are going to be heading here into game number 1. It was like the other game mode, right? You had ARAM and then you had Dominion. It was like the circle map. And it was like a bunch of bruisers were generally really good on it. It was kind of the same, like 25-minute matches is what you were expecting. So, man, I'm sad that you didn't get to experience Dominion. Actually,
it does feel unlucky, but I've also played Nexus Blitz, so I feel like I've experienced. Okay, I don't want to finish that sentence because everyone is gonna spam ping me, being like, "You don't know, you never played Twisted Tree Line." You know what? Fine, I didn't play it. I'm sorry, but they're never gonna bring it back. No, I started playing in season 10, man. I don't know any of this.
You started playing season 10 beatdown?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! All right. That's hey.
I'm a league zoomer, even though I'm like the oldest caster in amateur.
I don't know about that. I do know that you are very knowledgeable, right? Considering that is when you started playing. I got to assume you were watching before that, right?
No, not really.
That's all right. You know what? You just took a big step up in my book. Not gonna lie, Beatdown. There's so much information in this game, so much to understand and comprehend. Too much, yeah. Some would say too much. And yeah, you're way up there. So hey, kudos to you. I mean, yeah, it's sad you didn't get to play those, but you just didn't have the opportunity, right? They were gone before you got in. Gonna find a bit of an engage here. Trevor is going to be pulled in, but Chime takes some responding damage on that one.
Yeah, I don't. That play was a little surprising to me. I mean, ultimately, everybody has pots. They're going to be able to heal up. But, sorry. That just really caught me off guard there. Ultimately, we're looking at Chime. Although you are likely not going to have to push necessarily, the fear of that rocket grab, and the pressure is going to be a big deal here. And one thing, interestingly enough, that we didn't highlight, we talked about Ryoma, great player overall, been a lot of time in the academy scene, or a good amount of time, and has been performing a lot. Let's look at Shochi too. Victor, I think he's played quite a bit and has had some pretty good performances on. And I think the interesting thing about the Victor TF matchup is that, especially if Shochi gets some early gold here, early kills with Winston ganking, you get closer to that first Hex Core upgrade, which is going to give him a buttload of wave clear, Jolly. And that's the thing with TF. He wants to shove, he wants to roam. And against Victor, especially once you really start to unlock that wave clear, that can be very punishing in terms of gold and XP. So Ryoma is going to have to pick his battles very, very carefully when it comes to actually leaving the lane to try and have an impact.
Yeah. There's a lot of pressure coming from that champion. And, you know, once you get the double burst as well, it's something that you got to be careful of as Iconic engaging on this player, right? The range that you have the capability of, including, you know, whether you're looking at the Chaos Storm, whether you're looking really at many of the abilities that he's able to throw out here, they could all be insanely impactful. And all it takes is another second or two to allow Winston to kind of have some sort of response, right? On a play maybe that Iconic decides going on there. We can see so much damage. Ryoma is so incredibly low, likely at around 100 health, maybe just a little bit more than that. And that is not a comfortable place to be when you're already down on creep, when you're already pressured in your lane. We do see Iconic navigating up here. Chime making a move over to the bush as well. They do know that they have pressure. They can try to make a sneaky play like we saw in the past, but not quite in a position to do so.
Yeah, Winston is right there, and I like this. Stixay and Chime are playing a little further back, but as I say it,
it's a flash away from Stixay. Flash in response by Winston onto Stixay. That should easily be first blood, and it's going to go over to Meech on the side of Immortals AOE.
A really nice play coming out from Winston. We talked about how active he is in the early game, and that's already example number one, Jolly. You get first blood on your Jinx. There's going to be a big portion of your late game damage, and I mean, well, at least Iconic's going to get double scuttle, right? I think it was Firefire or someone on the desk who was talking about how Scuttle Crab is dead. Well, Iconic doesn't think so.
Hey, the vision, honestly, the vision is very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
36 seconds, right, until we do get this this Chemtech Dragon to be spawning for the first one. Yes, that is the Chemtech Dragon, folks. We are still playing on, 1-2, so we are still looking, no soul, right? At least we don't have to worry about that here in this matchup, but man, Immortals AOE starting something good there. We saw Iconic navigate up, right? We saw Iconic maybe looking for something. The members of GGA and Stixay and Chime, they pushed forward, maybe, a little bit too far to allow for some responding pressure there. Iconic's like, okay, fine, you guys don't need me. Ha! Turned out they absolutely did.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you still have a little bit of a CS lead because Stixay and Chime doing a really good job at zoning off the wave. But now after this first recall, we're going to see Chime, what he can do outside of the bottom lane here, because of course Trevor, being the Lulu, is probably just going to walk his way back bottom for the most part. But I'm looking at Chime on the Blitzcrank, see if he can apply pressure to Shochi or someone else, much like he did to Blaze in their series last week. It looks like on this timer they won't be able to, because Shochi does end up recalling. But, I mean, I'm still looking to see what angles they could potentially five here. I mean, Iconic so far has been power farming, which I think is okay on the Viego once you get to that level 6. Once you get either Phage or the Sheen, let's hold that thought.
Nice little pop up there as Chime does get
the
hook.
root.
It's going to be a root on top of it. That means that Trevor has to flash away. The Ignite did come out from Chime. There's a lot of damage coming through from Meech. Stixay has to swap focus. And it ends up being kind of just a back and forth swap in damage.
Right, you get the flash out of Trevor and the Ignite, actually, so no sums. If he gets pulled again, it will certainly mean his death. And because, they could actually set up for a dive, maybe. But instead, I think they're going to go for the Dragon just because they have all the pressure here. Chime's walking around with his jungler. Stixay is free to continue shoving the wave, and there isn't really much to be done here. It's worth noting Ryoma is level 6. So he could join the fight even though he is currently on the wave here, and I think that's why Immortals are like, okay, you know what, you can have this one, we'll let it go.
Yeah, TP still available for Tony Top. We just saw Anime Girl use the TP to head back into lane after picking up those Mercs treads. Has the tier, is already stacking that as the first item, of course. Definitely the way to go with this Gragas. Tony Top has Mercs treads as well in response, right? We got a little bit of equal play coming through here, but the teleport not being used means that Tony Top does at least have that bit of advantage in case there is a fight that breaks out towards the bottom half. Probably something they're kind of anticipating, given that it was just a long walk back to lane.
And speaking of walk to lane, Chive is here. If he gets the angle, oh yeah. Oh my god, it's perfect.
That's a nice pop-up. Shoji has to flash away. It is the Ignite as well. Out comes the Chaos Storm. Ryoma has to kind of back away from this one, but isn't taking too much damage. A nice little lockdown right there onto Winston. Means that at least Chime and Ryoma are going to be able to get out of that after Iconic loses his life.
Yeah, it is going to be the 1-for-1. Even after death, Shochi was doing quite a lot of damage with that Chaos Storm, but ultimately it is the 1-for-1. It is a nice play, because Shochi doesn't have the TP and will lose out on some gold and XP. And I like that pressure, because Shochi's going to be a big problem later on, too. Oh, goodbye.
Ryoma does find the gold card. Trevor is there in the wings. It's going to have to be a flash over into the Raptor pit. Ryoma gets out with his life.
Does manage to walk away from that one. So it does force his flash, and it means if Winston shows back up again, it could have a really big impact here. But overall, still a pretty, I don't want to say calm. Oh my god.
Nice ulti there. That means the needlework is going to come out in response. There's a lot of damage onto Anime Girl. A lot of regen from Tony Top, but in the end, no death still.
Okay, I was I wondered how that one was going to go for a second here, but ultimately Tony Top still holding on to the TP, can very easily just shove this next wave on the turret and TP back, and it would really set up Iconic for the chance to get that Rift Herald. I think being able to get that, maybe making a play mid or on a play bottom, actually, I think there's any lane you could drop that, and it would end up finding a lot of value for your team here. And in doing so, you get a lot of gold onto your side here. If the dive goes well enough, too, you could even get that first turret. I think getting it onto Stixay, be a really great way to do that. For the moment, we'll have to see. I think it's actually a really nice pink ward in the tri-brush there, just by the Gromp of Winston. It does mean they should know that he is there, at the very least that he is walking to the bottom side of the map.
No pings to come out, at least. And it is kind of a situation where the vision that has been placed here by Chime has been taken down. They are kind of in the middle of this lane, though. Not quite enough pressure to justify walking up towards that lane, given the opportunity that Winston might have to make it through. So it is just going to be a recall. No clear chance here for an engage. And now we've got Iconic on this bottom side, but once again, the pressure is on for the side of Golden Guardians Academy. If we're looking at the CS scores, it is a lead in favor of Golden Guardians. It's literally top to bottom here of this roster. So it is just a very minimal gold lead in their favor. That Dragon does help them as well. We can see Ryoma has a pretty big lead, as well as Tony Top. And then the next one down is all the way on the bottom side of the map in Meech. So feels pretty good to at least have some of these really solid carry potentials on the side of Golden Guardians Academy. Already pretty far ahead. That really sets up a big opportunity here, as you mentioned, beat down for Golden Guardians to say, hey, we got the pressure. That means that we should be able to pick up this first Rip Herald. He's going to abandon it, actually.
Yeah, it's looking like Winston will just walk away from that one. I guess they got the information. Bot lane is on reset. You already know Chime is on the move somewhere other than bot lane, and it's looking like that instinct ends up being correct there. But I kind of want to pull back to that point about Meech that you were talking about here. Yeah, he's been having a bit of a tough time in lane, but that kill ends up, I think, evening out the gold between him and Stixay, and he's a player who has been a pretty big deal for Immortals AOE. Really strong player in that carry position here, and if you get enough gold in this pocket, he can turn games in your favor here, and I think that's what I like about Immortals committing a lot of resources to that top side of the map, having Winston set up multiple visits there to see if they can keep this Jinx in the game, and oh, here we go.
There it is, the Destiny finally coming out from Chime. This is the first, from Ryoma. This is the first time that we have seen it. A lot of damage onto Trevor Stixay. Able to get that one up. Now Meech has to hide behind here. We can see this Shochi is on
nice
the way.
flash.
The teleport used right there. Ryoma is still going to pick up the one, and Stixay avoids taking damage right there from Shochi. Iconic goes in with the Heartbreaker. It's a nice little lockdown right there on top of it, but it is going to be Chime who goes down in the long run. Chaos Storm not doing any more than that.
Yeah, still, you managed to get the 2-for-1, which I think is still very nice on GGA's side. You don't get the Rift Herald, but that is just free hitting on the tower for your Aphelios, who picked up a kill, who's picking up more CS, and that's some turret plates in his pocket here. Still a very positive play, although it is big for Shochi that he manages to get one in the process here. So it's not going to be like last week. The mid laner of Immortals AOE still very much in this game, Jolly, and you could see it. 2 kills, just like Ryoma. About the same amount of CS, just like Ryoma. And now, Immortals AOE are going to be able to get this second dragon.
Iconic there in the wings, but it is 3 members of Immortals Winston going in on Chime, actually probably getting pulled there in that instance, just trying to navigate his way down to this second dragon of the game. Golden Guardians potentially looking for some sort of pinch here, but it's a very dangerous move. Winston is quite low, though, and you got to consider that Winston's going to want to go in for that smite hit. Chime trying to do a little bit of proxying here on this side. That means that Iconic is able to get in after Winston has to shove himself away from this dragon. Golden Guardians, wonderful play on that.
Yeah, I don't really know what he was looking for there. Maybe he thought he had an angle. Oh, it might have been Chimed, actually, who hooked him and grabbed him. But we're going to see it here, hopefully, in this replay. Okay, it is going to be the Destiny on that bottom lane play. Really nice cinematic coming through, and it's beautiful. You see the way Stixay is making sure Meech can't actually leave, while Chime and Ryoma make quick work of the support here. And even though... it looks like Stixay actually did get hit by the rocket. Ultimately, it is the 2-for-1, even though Golden Guardians do bite off a little more than they can chew here. Shochi's damage is not to be underestimated.
Yeah, definitely can't discount that. Stixay with a beautiful flash coming in. And yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. It was, the 2v1. That meant that the couple of members of Immortals that were prepping and positioning for that dragon had to come up, respond to help out Winston. Winston moved down and said, I want to do this, but I don't know if I can. Out comes the Chaos Storm again. We're taking a lot of damage, but it doesn't matter because Iconic is able to come through with their own ultimate. Pick up the soul at least here. Winston should be able to line up damage. Iconic able to go. The Heartbreaker comes out at the very end just to keep him alive. Little Teemo thumbs up as well coming from Ryoma. Turns into just Shochi going down.
And wow, I mean, Stixay has to back away now because you can see Winston and Co are moving to this side of the map. Really good of him to pay his respects there. Now Chime could go for the rocket grab. I don't think there is the play to be made. However, Ryoma has the Destiny. Oh,
there it is. Under tower. The Crescent Guard is used here by Winston. Only takes a tower shot or so. So is able to stay alive, but hey, a Q for an ult, so that feels okay for Chime.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a really positive, nice play. You saw Ryoma walking to maybe try and do something about it, but ultimately it wasn't necessary as Winston wasn't able to stay and pressure the rest of the turret going down. And I think that means only Winston walks away with that turret gold. Not much gold going into Meech's pocket as a result here. Yeah. So I think that's just pretty good for GGA to be able to deny that play here. And you can see it, all these small plays, the CS lead and gold. I mean, yeah, that's just Gwen things. I'm just gonna talk right past it. Oh, wait a minute. Now we got a problem.
The miss on the needlework. In comes Ryoma again. Finds the gold card immediately on that. Anime Girl is going to flash away from this one. Throws out the thumbs up. Ryoma wants to continue this one out. Does hit the gold card, but that's 3 tower shots that Ryoma ends up taking. And you got to imagine Winston is in the wings looking for something here. Winston tries to continue on with the fight, but it's too much damage coming from Tony Top and Iconic, and Golden Guardians Academy once again find a successful fight.
And it's just play after play after play, Jolly. Golden Guardians Academy are really starting to put the screws to Immortals AOE, and it's just Ryoma again. We talked about how these plays needed to be high value, high impact to justify, well, what Shochi is doing at the moment here. And I think the answer so far for most of these plays has been yes, especially because now Shochi even recognizes he needs to walk away, can't actually apply more pressure. They want to make a play potentially on this bottom side of the map here. At the very least, set up some vision with that Scuttle Crab because, one, you can't afford Meech to feel any more pressure on this bottom side of the map. And with 2 minutes on this next dragon, that's going to be important as well because that's going to be Golden Guardian Academy's soul point here. And it is a powerful soul as well with the Hex Tech. So it's something Immortals can't allow.
And it is 15.5 minutes in, right? We're looking at a little bit more than a 4K gold lead. It's not huge, but it is still something that you have to consider with the item builds, right? We've got the Everfrost finish. You've got all these first items along with finished boots and portions of the next item. We can see the Dark Seal has been picked up here by Ryoma. 6 stacks available on that. The Dark Seal was picked up also by Shochi, who hasn't been able to get any stacks because it was a little bit longer on the pickup there. Winston looking for an opportunity. That's a lot of damage as the Chaos Storm comes out once again. Tony Top trying to navigate his way down, but Trevor is also here. 2 more members of Golden Guardians Academy trying to navigate their way up through this riverside. And even with that Hallowed Mist, it's not going to be quite enough speed. But man, Golden Guardians, they're getting themselves almost every single objective aside from that first Rift Herald.
And it's so hard, too, when you're behind and you're losing vision in your own side of the map against something like a Blitzcrank. And the gold that GGA have as well is nothing to sneeze at. The gold lead is so high. And at this point, oh my god, Chime, like, you have to play so far back, even for how they tried to cover the mid lane play there, just to make sure they don't try and dive Shochi. They still have to pay their respects to Chime on this Blitzcrank and make sure they don't get pulled in because the isolation that comes from it, and the popping like a balloon is something that Immortals AOE can't afford right now. And speaking of things they can't afford, Jolly, 20 seconds. So Golden Guardian Academy soul point here. The reset is through. The gold has been spent. And now they're on their way down. Even more noteworthy, Anime Girl, no TP, won't be up in time. Tony Top, though, does have it.
It's a Hex Tech Drake as well. Definitely something that you really don't want to give over here to Golden Guardians Academy.
Oh, they're just letting it go.
They are. I mean, you know what? There's not a ton that can be done there. Like, you don't have flashes available on anyone aside from Meech here. As for the secondaries, you make from it what you can, right? We have some pressure here in the mid lane, maybe trying to position around this second Rift Herald of the game, but it was such a quick take here for Golden Guardians Academy that they had the opportunity to respond to that one, no problem.
Oh, God, speaking of response, Tony Top. A lot of people on this top side of the map. Objective bounties are up for Immortals AOE because this gold lead is really starting to grow, so they will get bonus gold for every member with the grabbing of this Rift Herald, and I think Golden Guardians are okay with that. They're going to put a lot more of their efforts in the mid and other side of the map here. As you can see, Ryoma is pushing that bottom turret. He's actually going to go ahead and push towards the tier 2, and look, none of these recalls have started yet. It's just Anime Girl walking down to try and match him, which means a lot of damage is going to go down on this turret. And gold-wise, I mean, GGA is still ahead.
2 towers. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, and I think the first tower did end up going down after that 14-minute mark, so it was not full place.
Oh,
picked up a look this. Oh my gosh, surviving for maybe a second in that fight. So much already coming out as Chime uses the ultimate.
I mean, it's so hard to try and ward as an enchanter overall, unless your jungler is with you. It's even worse when you're playing into a Blitzcrank. It's just actually not allowed. Yeah. You can't use your support item. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't make the rules, okay? Like, it's Chime. Look at him.
And not only that, but like, you really don't want to have to use the wild growth on yourself. So you kind of just acknowledge, all right, I'm going to die here. Iconic going in looking for something. Ryoma is going to find the gold card on that, but not quite enough damage being dealt to the tower for them to consider a dive here. No eyes on that teleport that is coming through. It is going to be a 3v4. Shoshi coming in. Stixay on the backside. Might not be able to
Tony Top.
Tony Top way in the back of this fight. Tries to get some snips on them, but it's not going to be enough, including that needlework. Just not quite enough damage. Ryoma now on the run.
Nice.
Stixay has to realize, oh my god, beautifully done right there. Stixay able to throw the ultimate out over every single member, and while they lost one, they could have lost a lot more.
Yeah, still, it is a kill in Meech's pocket, which really is needed for the side of Immortals AOE. He's down 40 CS at this point, and it's been a tough time for this Jinx here on the red side. They're going to be able to get more objective bounties as that pressure from getting rid of Tony Top means they can push this bottom turret. They can start to invade a little bit more. As you can see, Winston kind of testing the waters a little bit, taking some more aggressive pathing, as he's going to also allow another bounty to be claimed here for Meech in the mid lane. And again, still has that Rift Herald. Any bonus gold you can get onto this AD carry is going to be really important. But these are all just... This is all just... how do I explain this? Look, they're still really far behind, Jolly. They still got to do a lot more.
Yeah, they do, but you know what? You can get another 5-7 minutes into this game, get another couple of items onto the Jinx, right? She only has that single item pickup, whereas you do already have 2 here for Aphelios, as well as putting a lot of vision into the pockets of Golden Guardians Academy. They've been focusing on that a lot. Chime,
not
even knowing if he's gonna get the hit there onto Winston. Is going to come through. Ryoma using the Destiny once again. The flash forward from Winston isn't going to be enough, though. Shoshi is on the backside of this fight, has the ultimate once up and available again here. Ryoma might be caught out here. The Chaos Storm dealing a lot of damage, but a beautiful grab from Chime is going to allow 1 kill to go over in favor of Golden Guardians Academy.
Man, that is a painful catch out here. No Shochi means it's time to start the Baron. And at this point, too, you still have a lot of ults to play with here. Look at how low Winston is. He hasn't recalled, and they have that information now. Look at Chime. You're kidding me.
It's Trevor, the Hex Flash. The jump in, the soul pickup onto this Lulu. Tony Top is aggressing heavily using the needlework, jumping in on that one. It's going to be a nice exploding cast, but it puts Tony Top in the perfect position to just say, thank you, Snip Snip, you are dead. Bye, Anime Girl.
Yeah, now this time for real. They can go ahead and start the Baron as Golden Guardians are just continuing to bulldoze Immortals AOE. We thought this would be the tighter of the series for tonight, but something tells me we may have been wrong. At least this game won.
Ooh, it was a nice attempt there. It was blind, unfortunately, for Immortals AOE. You gotta kind of guess the timing there for Meech. Hey, it's worth it to at least throw out the Super Mega Death Rocket. Pretty low cooldown on that one, but let's take another look at that fight, how it started with Chime's Hex Flash.
Yeah, and this is the one that
Oh,
started.
how it started here?
Yeah, I was going to say, this one started like at the very beginning here. Chime saw it. He had a feeling the recall was coming through, and he just full sent it. The Destiny follow-up means Winston, even though he doesn't fall, he gets very brutally chunked out. And Shochi, you could see it. Winston can't go back in. He definitely gets a little too aggressive here because look at that. Rocket grabs off cooldown, and even with the wild growth, he's going to end up falling apart here. And because of that, you give the setup for this bait to essentially come through here. This isn't the real Baron Star, Jolly. Oh, actually, we have a fight going on both sides, too.
It's Chime. It's all thanks to Chime being in prime positioning. We can see another fight is already going on. Ryoma sitting at Unstoppable. So many ultimates have come out here. Iconic, it looks like, also just used the Heartbreaker. Now it's just going to be GGA oppressing this mid lane, finding themselves the 5th tower for their team in the game, and now extending that gold lead to about 8,000 in their favor.
Oh, it's going to keep growing, Jolly. You know this mid inhibitor is under threat. The top outer turret, the last one outside of Immortals base, is about to fall. And what else, Jolly? That Hextech Dragon Soul. Extra damage coming through here for the side of Golden Guardians Academy. This is what we in the business call a doomer.
Yeah, and the Hextech, you know, the Hextech Dragon, the Soul on the Rift as well is huge on this one, right? Not just the buff for the individuals themselves, but also just a little bit of additional navigation here for both of these teams. Let's take a look at the start of this fight as we were watching another replay when this one broke out.
Right, and this is the play here. It starts because Golden Guardians say, okay, you get to River first, we're going to push this mid wave, but they also have that option to just walk into the enemy jungle here.
Oh.
Chime doesn't even go down. The damage is just too big here, and they get caught basically transitioning into that mid lane to see if they can protect that mid tier 2 turret. And at this point, it means Iconic is free to get the soul by himself. His team is just free to open the base.
Yeah, Chime, I cannot believe, honestly, that Chime didn't even go down in that fight. We saw how much damage Ryoma provided over the wall. That was insane. Layer that on top of Stixay's damage, and you're not even going to get to the point where you need to with this Jinx. 225 CS to 187 at this point in the game. If you're Jinx, right, you're trying to side lane. You're trying to get yourself ahead and creep, but it did not happen. That means the Golden Guardians is going to find themselves the first inhibitor of the game. The 7th tower for themselves, make that 8 and 9, given 2 inhibitors going down on top of it, so that gold lead is just going to continue to increase, and they are looking for a fight. They still have the Baron buff applied. They have cannon minions right now in Immortals base. They're looking to potentially end the game right here, right now.
They have the Baron buff. They have Baroned up minions. There isn't much Immortals AOE can do, but they have to make a stand now or they're going to lose game 1.
Could be it. It's going to be the rocket grab. It's a pull onto Winston. He uses the Crescent Guard to get away. Anime Girl has been picked out by Stixay and Tony Top. Chaos Storm comes out onto Ryoma and Iconic. Tony Top manages to find that one. This is the survivability that I'm talking about. This is absolutely insane. Out of somebody like a Gwen, the triple kill pickup. It's not quite an ace because Anime Girl is back on base, but this is the end of the game, and pretty decisively, just over 25 minutes. Golden Guardians Academy are going to take game number 1 in this best of 3, setting themselves up with a match point in our last series for playoffs here for Proving Grounds Close Qualifier. They are setting themselves up so well to go into tomorrow to face off against 100 Thieves next, as they have already locked themselves in, and it's only going to take one more game for them to find themselves in that position.
Wow, Golden Guardians Academy. Wow. Insanely dominant game from start to finish there. And I mean, okay, part of it is like, you can't let Chime do that. You can't pick an enchant. No. Were you guys watching last week? That's not okay. And then this basically Chime he just got to run it back and do it all again. They got to run run the laning phase, and you get to a point where even if you're slightly behind, you can't move around the map very much by yourself, because chances are, even if you do, you get isolated, you get pulled by that rocket grab, and you just get destroyed.
That's what's going to happen every single time to put him on somebody as comfortable as this Blitzcrank. And I think we even had, the Braum walk away, or the Braum ban away from Immortals AOE. So hopefully they recognize, hey, you know what, if it's Chime, we even saw the images, right, in the little matchups that the analyst desk was going over, and it was Blitzcrank for Chime, right? That's what we know him for. And so We got to anticipate maybe either a ban for that or no Enchantress pickup, because that's going to put Chive in a prime position here. But we are going to take a very quick break before heading into game number 2. And of course, we're going to have a little bit of a chat with the analyst desk before they toss it back to us. So stick around. We will be right back with more Proving Grounds close qualifiers.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Unified Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier as wow, Golden Guardians coming in hot here in game number 1. Foot never leaving off the pedal. What a display by this team. Let's go ahead and start it off here. I'm going to actually start this off with 5-Fire. Big TF stand to start the night. Looks like you have another reason why you can continue to say how strong this champ is.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, this champion, I mean, it's literally getting nerfed next patch. Riot thinks it's OP, all right, guys? Come on, we got to be picking this thing up. You know, honestly, they had huge, like, some big cojones leaving up the Victor and the Corki and all these picks into it, but it's just because they were like, if we get TF, we don't care, we're going to be happy. And, you know, this was a game that even it showed, like, they weren't making amazingly proactive plays with the TF. The TF was level 6, and the enemy was level 7. He was level 8. He got to level 9 before he even used his ultimate one time, right? But it didn't matter. That one time, that one mistake that they made, he made a big play, started getting a big lead, and really just started to open up the whole map and snowball and snowball and snowball. This Twisted Fate pick is super strong. It needs to be respected, and you need to have a good answer for it, which I think the Victor was okay, but didn't really play into how Immortals wanted to play out that game.
Yeah, and we got to see some things play out, and it was actually a good start from IMT, right? They went for something that was wacky. Yet again, Winston makes us just go, wow, this guy will do anything to get that kill as he sees it dangling in front of him. We have a replay of actually how things started for IMT here. And Megan, you're a jungler. How does it feel to do something like this?
Yeah, so the pathing was a little bit weird from Winston to full clear his top side into Gromp, but it ends up working out just because he has a timer to sneak up into bot lane. As you can see here, they're playing the vision game like absolutely flawlessly, as in this moment here he sneaks up into the bot lane bush, and they're pretty aware that the enemy jungler could be bot side. You can see he sits in this bush for a total of like 50 seconds, just so committed to this gank because this wave is slow pushing out. This is essentially a guaranteed gank. It has to work because of the wave state. And then they're just getting all real comfy, wait for that step up a little bit sooner, and the psychopathic pathing from Winston gets the free first blood onto Meech, which fully plays into their win condition. Like, honestly, it plays so well in character that they gain their first lead this way. It just ended up being a little bit tragic. They could never really turn that into something more.
Just Winston things, right?
Yeah.
That's when we grow this pet.
Yeah, but like Bacon said, it was a bit sad that they were never able to revisit, because one of the big deals for me in that play was Stixay died while using both summoners, right? And so you think, oh, that's just the freest repeat gank of your life, but Stixay just had a free game. Sure, he lost both summoners, he died, but he was right back in it. So maybe we'd like to see Immortals, really double down on their successful plays next game.
And talking about that, I can't help but chime in on this because there was somebody else who was making sure to put some respect on the names. Matt, you were hyping up Chime's Blitzcrank, and we got to see it on full display inside this game.
It's chime time, baby.
Watch this. We got the gold card into the rocket grab. That's so broken. That's a great interaction. We knew that Chime was this good at Blitzcrank. We've been watching him play it for weeks. We've been saying that he's been smurfing on it for weeks. And frankly, Travesty, I'm upset that he's this good at this champion and it wasn't banned away. I want to take this opportunity to look at the draft and just point out something that Immortals did, because if you'll notice right there in the Phase 2, they banned away Braum. And if you're going to be picking Lulu, Braum's not that bad. You should probably be banning away this Blitzcrank because Chime is so good at it. It's been proven that this is his counter matchup into a lot of the supports that people are picking against him. And we've known this for weeks, like I just said. So I'm really upset that Immortals made this mistake. I also, for what it's worth, don't think that the Renekton was worth a ban. I haven't been super impressed by Tony Top's Renekton, and I think this blind pick Gwen really ended up stifling a lot of what Anime Girl is really known to play. This Gragas is an option that he went for, but he's also been known for things like the Tahm Kench and the Mundo, which Gwen is a pretty nice time into. So I would have much rather they ban... Funny enough, the champions that Golden Guardians ended up picking, I know that's a little bit revisionist of me, but it is genuinely true. You can go back and watch the other streams. I've been hyping up this Blitzcrank for so long. So
that's true. Can confirm. It was on and off stream. Can confirm. I was a witness for it. And looking at how replays look here, talking about people who have been hyping up things, Qualifier, I'm going right back to you, buddy. This TF. Yet again, Ryoma's playing with a full deck of cards here inside this game, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, so the TF pick, right, like we said, it wasn't making a ton of super proactive plays, but here, the enemy bot lane steps up too far one time, right? One time they want to get this wave in, instantly punished. We again get to see the gold card into hook combination from Ryoma and Chime, easy as pie. And then Meech, I mean, poor Meech is just stuck here. And you see, Shoji even tried to respond down here with the teleport and was close to getting a kill back. And then this little chase down happened. Actually, interesting interaction was Iconic's Spectral Maw got canceled by Chaos Storm because it cancels channels. So he got a bit lucky to get away with that. But I mean, this was really one of the big plays that blew open the game. And it's off the back of that TF, right? Even if you aren't able to make the super proactive plays, just having the threat of that ultimate of the Destiny Gate around the map does so much for your team, right? Like, we didn't even see it, but Winston was probably afraid to go top lane a lot of that game because 2v2ing TF Gwen as Gragas zins out doesn't sound very fun, right? And the pressure this champion puts out is just insane. There's a reason why I loved it so much last year, and when we had our blue side kingdom on Noord, we would first pick it every single game over and over and over. This champion does a lot, and when you give it to the hands of these really skilled players like Ryoma, they're going to make it work. So yeah, I can't really say that much more. Just pick TF, ban it, or have a counter ready. Like, you got to put some more respect on it. I know the Corki and the Victor are, very flashy, these huge scalers, but TF does it all.
I mean, we got a full play of it here on the screen here, as it was just them running away with lead after lead, different advantages that they were able to pick off basically from that point forward. But there's a very interesting moment, and Vegan, you were looking at everything that was going on inside of this, and you've had some points talking about people doing too much, and it's causing them to throw their lead. And here we got a replay showing something interesting.
Absolutely. I'd say from the side of Golden Guardians here, they responded to this play really well. As you see, Immortals is pretty desperate at this stage because they're losing so much. As it turns out that our Golden Guardians actually overextends on this play, and they give up Tony Top. But different from most teams, those teams would kind of opt in for a turn here. You can see Stixay on the side with his ulti rim with a gold card. But it's really good reserved patience from Golden Guardians to just fully commit to disengaging. As we've seen with some other teams so far in this tournament, that they'll kind of opt in and overcommit to a play that is losing even though they have a lead. And that's how they actually end up throwing these leads. Instead of just getting one kill for a tier 2 and some sums traded, they actually end up coming out with a larger gold lead than they went in with. So for the side of Immortals, that puts even more pressure on them that the one play they did make didn't actually get them anything.
Now, we're going into game number 2 here. Bacon, Gragas. How are you feeling about Gragas?
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I'm getting you started.
Like from
a
draft perspective, you already see like a first pick blind pick Gwen, and you throw a reluctant Ben for some reason, which is weird because that's probably like one of the only matchups that's playable for him. It's just a lot of personal bias. As a resident Gragas expert, I think the champion is like a weak side top laner is fine in a vacuum, but versus most of the current top lane cast, you're kind of just giving them free lane phases to then be more useful than you. It feels really putrid to like run Grasp on a character that already has long early cooldowns and mana problems. So it just seems like everything that they picked. In a vacuum, sure, they wanted it to be weak side against a Gwen, but it feels like Immortals didn't actually draft against Golden Guardians this game. They kind of just drafted for their own team comp. They picked the Lulu knowing Blitzcrank was up. They let first pick TF go through, and then they picked Gragas against their team. And it just seemed like they weren't really fully paying attention to what Golden Guardians was looking to achieve. So the whole draft as a whole, they need to adapt for next game a hell of a lot better.
In a world where there is no TF available, Qualifier, what do you foresee going into this? Because I feel like that TF might have a little bit of a sting to it to when it's brought up in conversation.
Yeah, so with no TF, I'm still a bit scared, honestly, because like I was saying, the Corki was up, the Victor was up, right? Like, and the Victor did end up getting picked, but the Corki, went through draft, which was something we were all shocked about. This champion has seemed absolutely ludicrous when it does get picked up, and it just didn't even get picked here. So like the Corki is still available, right? There's all these things. And Ryoma is a player with a champion pool, right? It's not just like some TF player. This guy can literally pick everything, can play everything that's meta, and even a bunch of stuff that's not. So I do think while taking the TF away will take some power and some agency away from a player like Ryoma. I don't think it'll knock him out. There's still plenty of great picks out there. But it's definitely something I'd be looking at if I'm Immortals.
And Smats, I'm saving you for the last here before we throw it over to our casters here. Chime had a fantastic performance inside that. Trevor didn't get his Thresh, didn't have a great performance on the Lulu. If you're looking at this bot lane in a vacuum, what are you looking at? What are you looking to change up?
Ban the Blitzcrank, please. Get that out of here.
But it was so good to see.
I already said it.
The Flash.
I mean, yeah, it's good. It's good for us. It's good for Golden Guardians. It's not good for Immortals at all. You got to get rid of that champion right now, especially if Golden Guardians are going to draft more crowd control to activate the hook later too. Like, that was a filthy combination, and you just can't give them that agency again. Like, Chime might have other champions to do this with, but the Blitzcrank just seems way too easy in his hands.
Well, ladies and gents, you heard it here. We gave them some heartfelt advice here on how we can see this series go the distance. But it's time for our casters to get us ready for game number 2. It's Jolly and Beatdown. Take it on away.
Thank you so much, Travesty. Thank you, the rest of the analyst desk. We always love to hear your little breakdowns, especially when it confirms what we kind of went in with or what we assumed as well. Beatdown. I gotta echo, banning the Blitzcrank. I think also the fact that we do have Immortals AOE having still picked the red side on this one. That means the first pick is still going to go over to Golden Guardians Academy. We can anticipate that if that Twisted Fate makes it through the first ban phase, that's going to be their selection. So just ensuring that at least one of those two, if not both of those champions, is on the ban list is worthwhile. They also mentioned that the Corki was still up and available. So,
Yeah.
man, Ryoma just has such a deep pool. Like, do you even try to focus on banning this guy out? Is it worth doing the Twisted Fate ban? I guess we just saw right there. It's worth it for that one at least.
Yeah, it's tough because when you really try to pinch that pool, if you think about like the really strong mids that are going on at the moment, you think of Corki, Victor, TF is good, but for like different reasons. And the idea is when you're on red side, going that route means you should leave 2 top tiers up and just hope to handshake them. That's the thing. So what do you really end up going for here? I mean, if you leave Corki and you take TF, Corki's probably something they're just going to grab right away here. So I think probably you want to take a bit of a jab at Ryoma's champion pool if you can. But ultimately, I think it's interesting that Immortals AOE are back on the red side here. I think now they probably want to try and get a better matchup, I think, in the top side. Because I think Qualifier was the one who broke it down like really well on the desk, talking about how, well, I mean, Gragas is cool, but when you're playing it into Gwen, Gwen gets to kind of just do whatever she wants, farm for free, and manage to, well, become Gwen at 3 items with little to no jungle attention. It just means it's so easy.
Yeah, and that is something that we've seen particularly in the matchups for today is a lot less focus on the top side than we might have seen in the past because you have these pretty even matchups, right? If it's something where one of the players is going to be really far behind just given the matchup, then yeah, put some focus on there. But I think that they've been doing a good job of ensuring that that's just not the case. As we look across the bans, it is going to be the exact same for Golden Guardians, and there is one slight tweak for Immortals. That is going to be the Twisted Fate being added here to the bans. So Respect coming through. That also means that the Caitlyn is up and available. Golden Guardians recognize that. They're going to take that even over somebody like the Corki in the mid.
Sure, fair enough. And I mean, you do give Immortals the pick of that litter if they want to go Corki, if they want to go Victor, or maybe they'll wait a little bit. But ultimately, getting the Caitlyn for Stixay is a pretty big deal here, just because, I mean, Caitlyn is permabanned on red side, has been since the season started, just because of how strong she is at the moment. And seeing the Jhin and Xin picked up here is good. I think Winston played pretty well in the earlier parts of the game. I do like the Jhin there for Meech as well. You do got a lot of that long range setup, and you also are going to be okay with the fact that, you know, early game is not going to be so great here. But I really like the Poppy. Oh my god.
I like the Poppy pick, yeah, and you know, not even saying, hey, we're going to counter pick you guys like you have been counter picking us for Golden Guardians. We get the lock-in as well for the Lux here, who has been, you know, in terms of Enchantresses, because she offers so much damage, right, that's an option that is absolutely, I would say, a little bit more viable, right? Lulu has to get a lot closer to be efficient and effective. You also have to kind of pick and choose, right? Do I use the Whimsy? Do I use the Polymorph? Like, do I send picks onto an enemy to add additional damage, or do I send picks over to my ally to shield them? So even just that, you know, moment, that millisecond that you take to decide how you want to play things out means that it seemed like Golden Guardians is going to take advantage of that. So the Lux has been locked in here. That's going to set a lot of pressure up for Golden Guardians on the bottom side, meaning we can expect Winston is, just like in game number 1, going to put some early focus onto that. I guess the other question would be, is Iconic going to stay in the jungle as long as he did in the last one, or is he going to try to make some of these counter plays? Because we didn't really see a Viego jump into these fights until post level 6, until post full clears.
Right, well, this is a Poppy, so you definitely have way more options to have an impact in the earlier parts of the game. The Poppy's definitely one of those champions. All right, level 3, I'm sprinting to lane. Who needs a gank? It's just ready to go, and I imagine that's what we're going to see more than likely for Iconic's side. I mean, the Leona for Trevor is definitely, I think, a better look than what we saw before. It will be a little tough because of, obviously, the Poppy's steadfast presence and everything like that later on, but in lane, it is kind of that situation where at least Trevor will be able to go elsewhere and try to do kind of what Chime did in game 1. As best that he can, of course. And overall, I think the Leo is going to be pretty good if you actually manage to close the gap onto Chime, manage to land a Zenith Blade, keep the stuns going through here. You might actually be able to win out on some of these skirmishes here.
I am somewhat surprised that we're seeing the Leona over the Nautilus. With Jhin, of course, you know, Leona is super helpful, right? Because you're jumping directly on top of them. You would be doing the same thing, of course, with the Nautilus. And what we talked about earlier on, I think it was in the previous matchup, right, when we had Dawnbray picking that one up, is when you compare these 3 of like Thresh, Leona, Nautilus that offer a lot of the same things, heavy crowd control, heavy initiation, the ability to get out of the fight is really only there for the Nautilus. So really having some sort of disengage is very helpful. And already we can see GGA, whether or not they lock in this Camille, which is probably a solid pick for them here. A lot of side lane prep, not the best side laner in my opinion as of right now, thanks to the hook shot and her survivability, even if she does get caught out in these instances. This is a heavy aggro team from Golden Guardians. They're going to be looking to, early levels, potentially even making some sort of sneaky play, especially with that Poppy being in there. A little bit more of a normal composition, a normal draft that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks here, beat down for the side of Immortals. So, they at least have confidence in that. Now, I think it's something else to touch on that the desk brought up. I don't remember if it was Vacant or if it was Fire, but basically saying that, it didn't really quite feel like Immortals was drafting against Golden Guardians draft, right? It felt like they were doing something that they liked, that they were comfortable with, that they thought would work well. But you have to consider these counter matchups and these counter picks. And I do think that the Tom Kench is going to help them as well. Considering the fact that you've got Ryoma with that ultimate, right? The ability to just have some sort of positioning, the Abyssal Dive will be helpful for Immortals. But, how much can that be offered given the fact that we've just seen Islands in the top lane?
So it's interesting too, especially because the top lane matchup, I don't think that really is very favorable for Anime Girl, but ultimately what you're doing here is, again, you're giving him a safer pick. Just, even if you fall a little bit behind, it's okay. You're going to be really tanky. You're going to be a front line for people like Shochi, Meech, who are going to be doing a lot more of the damage later on here. But it is tough because Tony Top, like you said, of all the top laners that were kind of left in the pool, Camille is definitely the best in the split push at the moment here. And, of course, is going to work really well in these fights, going in with Iconic, having that backline access, setting up these flanks potentially, and locking down someone like Shochi or Meech with that Hextech ultimatum here. And the Rise is definitely interesting for Ryoma as well. We don't see as much of him early on, but when you consider the mid laners that are left, it is nice because you will get early push into somebody like the Victor, and it will make for more plays post 6 where you can shove, make the roam more play, or even beforehand, you could potentially roam, make a play with Iconic on either side of the map. Bot lane is definitely looking real nice just because you already have that Kate Lux going for you.
You do. We don't see a lot of Caitlyn. Caitlyn has kind of been classic first ban for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
She's so powerful right now. And when you combine her with someone who is able to make a little bit of an impact on the crowd control, I would say, Thresh is definitely one of those that's up there because you can play them back onto something like the traps. But hey, you get a lockdown with the Lux, you just throw a trap behind them, and their ability to escape from a fight is almost non-existent. Of course, they do have, some decent range. You got the Deadly Flourish to try to get some lockdowns. The other side from Meech, you do have Trevor, of course, once they hit a couple levels. Once they get like a full item, they're going to really be able to face check a lot of these opportunities, really. But at that point, is it too far in the game, right? We've seen such early roam. We've seen so many plays to where the teams kind of realize, okay, the laning phase has ended way earlier than we anticipated. Let's all move mid. Let's all move to fight near the dragon. And if you don't actually have an item to defend yourself as that Leona, you're kind of throwing yourself into what could be your own demise, especially given how much dang damage is on the side of Golden Guardians here.
So these early skirmishes are what I'm going to be looking towards. We know Immortals, they like to play for those. They like to go for some of these early fights. And Winston, especially as a jungler, is someone who tries to play for his laners from very early on here. So it's going to be about finding some of these early angles to get some gold onto people like Meech. I think we're going to see that the top-bottom clear from both of these junglers just because of how important this bot lane is to play out. If you put Caitlyn as that kind of champion where she's really strong, the range is very oppressive, especially in the laning phase, yes. But with this double range bot lane, if you do find a good gank, if you do set this Caitlyn behind and manage to put her out of the game, that's a really good start here for Immortals. And because they still have a lot of playmaking there with the Jhin ultimate, that curtain call, you have Leona here for Trevor. You do have a lot of ways, if you can get out of this laning phase, to actually fight and set up around objectives here. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on Immortals AOE side. Try and focus this bot lane, if not to get your bot lane ahead, at the very least to keep them in the game and deny the turret place there from Stixay on this Caitlyn. And then you can use that to try and get some of these early dragons. Play for that soul this time around because that didn't really work out in game 1.
Yeah, and you would expect Golden Guardians here has the priority in this lane, right? They're going to have the pressure onto the side of Immortals. That gives Winston lots of opportunities. If they continue to push forward, if there's not enough vision placed down on that lower side of the river there around the dragon, then it could be a nice gank straight for Winston, and then immediately transition that into the dragon as we do head into game number 2 here. Golden Guardians Academy on the blue side once again, Immortals AOE on the red side again, and of course this is Immortals kind of with their backs against the wall. We're looking at match point here for GGA.
Already, the multi-mine play for some vision on the bottom side of the map has begun. And actually, I say it like it hasn't actually stopped. Trevor has to walk away now. Nope, nothing's going to happen. Okay, so again, early game. Super important here for both of these teams. Interestingly enough, I'm most interested in what the junglers are going to do here. It actually could look like that we're going to get both of them start on the bottom side of the map. Let these bot lanes play out in isolation. See what they can do elsewhere. That or Winston is going to level 2 gank bot.
Right, that's still an opportunity. And we've seen how aggressive Winston wants to be right from the beginning. I do think it was a nice pickup here to see Xin Zhao's locked in. All right, iconic. Hey, it was a really quick response. It was really quick saying, okay, Rise, we're locking in Poppy. You know, that was something Golden Guardians, I think, expected, having the Xin Zhao picked up by Winston previously, and it was really, really well played. We saw 4-0-2 before that champion even died the first time. Of course, we immediately saw 3 more deaths come through before another assist or kill worked out for Winston. So, you know, I think the thing is, hopefully these kills, instead of going over to Winston in the early parts of the game, if Immortals does decide to make some early ganks, some early navigations into these side lanes to say, okay, I'm Winston, I'm still the jungle. We heard it from Bacon, who is a jungle player, that jungle's not that strong right now. It's not the jungle itself. It's the ability to set things up for your laners. And when all the kills go over to that jungle and they're not able to really follow that up into the second half of the game, you end up giving a lot of opportunities over to Golden Guardians, and they're going to take every single one they're offered.
Alrighty, we do have a lot of trading going into the mid lane. It's actually, I was wrong. It looks like both junglers are going for opposite starts here. Iconic is playing for the bottom lane. He's full clearing top and will find his way probably there after clearing some camps on the red side here. But, I mean, this is kind of how we expected this bot lane to play out here. So I was wondering if Winston was going to defend. I mean, he's going to clear up to the top side. You could gank Tony top if you really wanted to. But showing on the map, I think, is going to be a little unfortunate, especially if they manage to set up the dive onto Meech and Trevor here. But for the moment, not a whole lot is going to occur, really. Ryoma actually forced out of lane and is going to be forced to blow that TP.
And it looks like there was a ward placed up there by GGA in the top side of the river. However, it does not appear to be in a bush of any sort, so it's going to go down a little bit earlier. It's not in the tri-bush, so there's still the opportunity there, you know, if Winston does decide, hey, that tri-bush still, you know, is not going to have any vision in it. But I do agree with you, Beatdown. It's got to be more focused towards the bottom side, especially when you're going to have Chime and Stixay pushing forward for so long. That's so much damage. Oh my gosh, the flash away from Trevor. A big headshot from Stixay, and that might be an opportunity. Now Iconic recognizes, hey, I might be able to move up and stop these recalls from coming through. Looks like in the mid lane, we are getting a jump on, and it's going to be the first blood actually picked up by Winston, who flashes in on that Iconic. Now 1v1ing Meech, Chime, Stixay, working on navigating back behind this tower. Meech just has to flash away, but it is a summoner spell down here for the bottom lane on Immortals.
Not only that, turret plates going over to Stixay, exactly how you want this bot lane to be playing out here. No flash on Meech means that Cleanse is really his only safety in this bottom lane, and Iconic could very well show himself back on this bottom side of the map again and just make yet another play. Already this bot lane going well for Golden Guardians Academy here, and all this bot pressure means after this reset, you got to imagine they're going to have a lot of priority over this first dragon here. It is a big deal, though, as well, that we're going to see a replay of this mid play. Shochi pretty much pressuring Ryoma, putting him in a little awkward position, but after the trading comes through and all the minion damage comes through, because there's a lot of caster minions there, Ryoma gets stunned up. Yeah.
It's the lockdown, the flash forward, too, by Winston. That was a good one. Yeah, thank you, production, for that picture-in-picture. Always nice. Tony Top is going to hook shot away from this anime girl. I think just a little preemptively using the Abyssal Dive on that one. Winston has been revealed. There is still that ward in the river, though. So, Tony Top setting himself up to be able to pressure this lane without being in too dangerous of a position. More wasted time by Winston.
Yeah, and I like this from Trevor. He's out of lane. He's trying to see if he can have an impact here. He has the Hex Flash. Ryoma has no flash.
Hex Flash, but Chime is right there as well. The Zenith Blade is gonna miss. Okay. Everything not quite hitting right there. Hey, except for the Lux able to get a pop off and has the Comet on top of it. We got a lot of mobility, though. Phase Rush coming in from Iconic and Ryoma here. So, man, they are just trying to set up for late game as quickly as possible. We're only 5.5 minutes in, right? But the plays are coming through so heavily. The pressure is in favor of Golden Guardians. The majority of creep score is in favor of Golden Guardians. And especially, just look at Stixxay down here with Meech. Poor Meech. It's 45-26.
Oh, there it is. The cleanse I was talking about out of the picture. Iconic is actually on this bottom side of the map, and there's already the pings for assistance. They want to make this play happen, Jolly. Iconic could easily flash E if he wants to. And look at the respect Meech and Trevor have to play. The CS lead, you already talked about it, is really starting to grow. And now Meech is at a point where he's losing out on XP as well, just because of the fact that he knows Jungler has to be nearby. And they're waiting for Winston to show up and apply at least some sort of pressure to cover them here. But it's tough. Even in this situation, I'm not really sure there's a play.
There's the initiation right there.
Oh,
Stixxay is going to throw himself back with the 50 caliber net. It's a pickup by Stixxay. Meech now on the run. It is going to be Iconic here in the bush. Going to be able to jump onto Winston, add a bunch of damage, not take any in response. A little bit of a slow on top of it from Chime. Just very well done from Golden Guardians.
Yeah, Trevor, I'm sorry, buddy. That engage was not it. You end up falling, and you basically set it up so that you don't get this Drake now. Golden Guardians Academy will be the ones to get it for themselves there, and the pressure has just been unreal in the bottom lane. Look at how much Meech has had to suffer. He's down 30 CS. I'm too scared to ask for the XP to come through here. But at this moment, Ryoma, what are we doing?
Looking for something potentially. Stixxay and Chime are right there. It's going to be the Zenith Blade that goes on to Ryoma. Takes way too much damage.
Oh my god, he lives! Phase Rush is good!
Caliber net. Winston decides to go in, though. No flash up and available, so he's going to be taking a lot of damage from the autos here. The last one he's going to do it. Chime tries to flash forward to get the lockdown onto Shochi. The slow does apply, but that's all that's needed to get Immortals AOE away from this objective and find more pressure on the bottom lane. Woo!
Look at that. Meech has to recall again. Look at this Jolly. He's out of lane. Stixxay is going to get really close to level 6. He's just going to continue farming out. You know what, Jolly? I was scared to do this, but I'm going to do it. Observers, could we please see the gold?
Yeah,
you could just go ahead and toggle it. I got to know. Is that it? Oh, my God.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. 1,600 gold already, and we're at before minute 8.
Chime is number 4 in that, and that just goes to show that, hey, when you're talking about enchantresses, right? I mean, Lux I think, falls under the sorceress, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's more of a mage,
Yeah, not quite an enchantress thanks to all of the damage that she's going to be able to offer. Ryoma, of course, just barely gets ahead of that, but you're looking at Winston and Shochi in 2nd and 3rd place, so there's a little bit of saving grace there for Immortals. Of course, the 2 kills have gone over to Winston, and this is exactly what I was touching on like 5 minutes ago here. Beatdown is how much is Winston able to offer towards the later half of the game, no matter how fed he is? We already saw it as we take a look at the second replay.
And again, the desync for IMT is a little evident here in how you see Trevor go in. The follow-up was just a little late. Stixxay and Chime, on the other hand, they're just right on the clock here, Jolly. The damage is coming through. Shochi's flash is forced out. And even though you do manage to take down Ryoma, it's still a very positive play on GGA's side. Like, they're still very much control over the game. Immortals will be able to get the Rift Herald, so that is a way to get a lot of plate gold back into their pockets here. It's just going to be about where they're actually going to be able to drop it here. Bot lane, it's going to be tough. If Iconic's in the area, you're not in a position to win that 2v3. Stixxay is fed out of his mind at the moment here, so you might have to look other places. Shochi is still in the game, in a good enough position where if you give him a lot of plate gold, he can be a big damage dealer later on.
Pre-9-minute Gale Force, okay? I just gotta point that out.
I don't want to know that. Don't do it.
9-minute Gale Force, 9.5-minute first tower of the game. All of those plates going over to Stixxay here. One more hit on this tower is all that's needed. Stixxay, okay with taking that one turret because picks up every single minion, and we're looking at almost 100, easily over double what Meech has been able to pick up, who just has Swifties and 2 longswords. Ouch.
Man, that's just, yeah. And then look at this. This is what happens. You take all the plates bot. Well, okay, Caitlyn, come up to the top side. We got more plates for you. Hope you're hungry, because that's just going to be more gold here. Mythic, far before everyone else. Tier 2 boost to boot, which is just brutal.
Oh my gosh, the tier 2 boots picked up there too. Didn't even have boots. That was full boots. I caught it going in there with the ultimate. It's going to be Ryoma now. Just has to hit one more shot. Doesn't
Wow.
quite take enough to end up going down here. Does have to be careful, though, because Winston is in the wings. But, I mean, Winston's being proxied away right here by Chime, who's been doing such a good job. It's Chime time is right. Now, Anime Girl
Canceled auto.
gets 3 tongue lashes there on to Stixay. Going to be able to throw back. A flash away there is going to at least allow him to
Nice.
avoid
Gotta dodge one more.
one part of this. The curtain call
Oh,
does
the
go
gift
through.
was-
It's just going to take the
no.
final shot using the 50 caliber net at the last second, but not quite quick enough. Meech finally picks one up for himself.
I think that's a really big punish there because one, Meech desperately needed that gold into his pocket, Jolly. The other thing too is the fact is you see that mid lane play come through. Ryoma Iconic taken down to very low HP bars, meaning what they would have originally wanted to do, which is transition top to give Stixay the space to pick up more turret plays. Instead, Stixay is a little too pushed up, and there's an opportunity for Immortals to shut down this Caitlyn. So you could still, there's still time for these plates to come through. Golden Guardians could easily just give up that next dragon and put all their members, or most of them rather, on this top side of the map so Stixay can continue to farm these plates. I mean, let's be real. It's one shutdown is good, but the lead is still immense for Golden Guardian Academy's bot lane. Basically, the entire lead they have is on those members, specifically Stixay.
Almost 3,000 gold right now in favor of Golden Guardians Academy at less than 12 minutes in. That's actually a massive amount in favor of a team. Of course, we just saw the gold differential right there. Iconic looking for something. Chime is in the back. It's gonna be
nice
the solar
flash.
flare that comes out, followed by the final spark. Ryoma will be the first to go down. Crescent sweep coming out here from Winston, who's going to take one tower shot. Chime not able to get there in time. Stixay is still available there. Winston's going to be able to get out no problem, though. Immortals find themselves a 1-0.
Yeah, and ends up being another nice punish coming through from Immortals AOE because making that play topside probably isn't an option anymore. Instead, Golden Guardians, they're going to just opt for the dragon for themselves here. So they do lose the opportunity to accelerate Stixay further, at least for the moment, but ultimately still a big lead for Golden Guardians Academy. Still a play to be made potentially mid, especially because now Winston, he's had that Herald for a couple of minutes now, Jolly. You can see it. It's actually about to expire very soon. He's at a point where maybe he'll be able to drop that mid. He might want to drop the top just because he can make a play onto Ryoma, who has been the focus of Immortals AOE, specifically Winston. But he's got to decide soon.
He really does. It's getting down to it. I hate to watch that tick so close to, the line hitting the upper line right there.
If Chime hits him with anything, it's over.
Looking for something. It is going to be the Realm Warp that comes through here from Ryoma. Try to set up for the W. Isn't able to pick that
I think
one
it's
up.
expired.
It does
It's
get a
gone.
lockdown. The final spark to follow it up. Ryoma finds the one. Winston separated from the rest of the team. The curtain call comes out on the backside. Winston does a lot of damage to Iconic right here. That might spell the death of Iconic, and it will. Winston's
he's
going to be
still
able to pick that one up. Oh my goodness. Almost getting the double kill. Thank goodness for Ryoma on the backside. Meech takes a lot in response, but at least was able to assist there. Help Winston take down one before losing his own life.
Man, that's a big deal. Immortals never got the opportunity to use the Rift Herald. It's gone, expired. Winston didn't get to drop it. And, I mean, that's a lot of potential gold that is just out of the picture now. I mean, realistically, they didn't seem to have many places they could have made it work. It's still just unfortunate for Immortals, who are behind now, trying to find their way back into this game here. Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, I was saying, hopefully somebody hits Winston, just put that 4-second timer on the eye of the Rift Herald, and you can see it expire right at that moment here. Winston doing his best, his damnedest, with Meech in the background, does manage to go 1 for 1.
Almost
2 for
manages
1.
to take down Chime here. Yeah, that's why I say thank goodness for Ryoma. If you are Chime, right? Just walk away from that one. That's all you can do. Still a very squishy member. And Iconic is going to be the one that's frontlining a good majority of these fights, along with Tony Top, trying to lock people down with that Hextech Ultimatum, which we have not seen come out quite yet. In fact, I mean, there have been several ultimates that we haven't even seen come into play, just based on the fact that, hey, they're able to deal enough damage with their abilities.
Right, and Tony Thompson's been on split push duty all game here, just shoving whatever wave where they don't want to have the focus for Golden Guardians Academy. I mean, mid is where it's all about Stixay and Chime. They have Ryoma on the top side. They look like they want to play for that Herald, and Tony Top's like, all right, cool, I'm just going to happily farm out on this bottom side. He actually is a little behind compared to Anime Girl, but ultimately, especially with that Divine Sunderer, he's going to be a problem in these 5v5s. You find that angle, you jump on someone like Shochi or Meech, they are going to disappear.
There, we can see the XP pulled up here. Shochi is in the lead. As far as 6A has pushed forward, it is still a lane where you are splitting experience with your support here. still so far ahead in terms of creep score. Tony Top gonna deal a considerable amount of damage here to Anime Girl, who's just trying to defend this bottom lane. Oh my gosh, Stixay going forward with the Gale Force, doing a lot over to Trevor. That means that the curtain call is gonna come out. Stixay will be the target for that one. The Solar Flare on the backside. Crescent Sweep as well. In the meantime, Ryoma's dealing a lot of damage, and in comes Tony Top. That's gonna be Stixay that picks up one. Ryoma picks up the other. The teleport comes through, and instantly Anime Girl regrets making that move.
Yeah, ultimately, he's way too late to be able to help his team here. And honestly, that seemed like it looked good for AOE or Immortals for a little while, but it doesn't end up panning out. It's just more gold in their pockets here. They're continuing to grow this lead. And as much as Anime Girl is trying, actually, he's going to pop Ghost. Maybe he will get him. Never mind, Tony
Top right there, right? The hook shot. Yeah. Tony Top's like, you don't need me. That's fine. Still, no Hextech ultimatum has been needed here. Now Anime Girl doesn't have either summoner spell. He's currently up against Ryoma in the top.
And luckily for him, Ryoma is backing off.
Ooh.
But man, you are in a that
rough.
Sucks. That's a tilter. You're kind of in the blender right now. If you're Immortals AOE, backs against the wall. We've already lost game 1 to Golden Guardians Academy, and none of these fights seem like they are going your way here. It starts off with that final spark, but the thing I'm most interested in is the fact that, see Ryoma, he's a possible target here for the turn, and they actually do a pretty good job of trying to focus him, but it's Iconic who bails out his mid laner there at the cost of his own life, and it buys time for the teleport to come through. It buys time for 6A to stop chasing Trevor and end up joining the fight here. And you can just tell, like, the difference in gold really shows in how these fights play out, because anyone 6A has their eyes on just end up disappearing.
Nice little crescent sweep. At least to avoid the final spark, but that's not where most of this damage is coming through. It's a target onto Iconic.
Oh, hello.
But Tony Top is going to hook shot in.
There it is.
Ultimatum to come out to avoid the Solar Flare. It is so much damage. Tony Top now just leading these members of Immortals AOE on the run. Ace in the hole comes through. It's not enough damage, but Ryoma is able to pop just a single auto off, and that will be enough. Now Tony Top, there's going to be the root from Ryoma on top of that, and oh my goodness, that is just tragic for Immortals.
Just great if you're Golden Guardians Academy, just continuing to solidify their lead. They're going to get Soul Point yet again, uncontested by Immortals AOE. And man, this bot lane play from 6A has been insane. Ryoma, who was, I think, 0-3, is now 6-3, Jolly. And he's gotten it together. That Thimble Winter, which will be done after one more ability used, means he's going to have a lot more HP. Be able to just be a little more beefier in some of these team fights, and it's just I don't know. Immortals not looking so immortal.
Oh, that's rough. You compare the two full items, right? You also have the Null Magic Mantle, you got the finished boots, and then you look across the board, even though it is Shochi, that's ahead, you got an item and a half here. Not the best place to be. Of course, we do have 2 fully finished items. The Dom's coming through from Stixay as well. And all you've got on the other side is going to be that crit cloak, along with that other one longsword. So, man, Immortals are really feeling it. And they're trying to set themselves up into some of these bountiful positions. But it still is Golden Guardians that just reacts far quicker. Right there, the Ace in the Hole is going to do it. It's going to be enough. Iconic and Chime, in the meantime, on the other side, force out the Crescent Sweep from Winston. Still a lot of damage coming through here. Trevor on the backline is not able to assist at all. Tony Top tries to poke a little bit of damage there, recognizes Meech is in the wings. Hey, you get what you can. It's still a successful fight for GGA. Oh my gosh.
This is so brutal, too. You know what really sucks, too, for Immortals? This Soul Point they're going to have to play for in a couple minutes is going to be so hard. Because, like, even if you manage to get there first, even if you manage to attempt the start of a 50-50, Charlie, you know what's going to happen. Iconic has that Keeper's Verdict, which is just so obnoxious for winning 50-50s because they're no longer 50-50s. So, yeah, that's a lot of gold, too.
I mean, it's not looking great for Immortals AOE. You already just said it. Their backs are against the wall, right? They're already facing match point for Golden Guardians Academy going into this one. And we're looking at, less than 20 minutes into this game. 4 towers already taken down by Golden Guardians. They're ahead now by 7,000 gold at 20 minutes. That is also massive. We also consider the last game ended at 25, right? So all it took was Golden Guardians to have one really big play that turned things in their favor heavily. But the game has already kind of been... that's been the case this entire game right now. I see Immortals. They're trying to go for some of these objectives. They're trying to play around where some of these team fights are expected and anticipated. But man, again, Golden Guardians' response time and reaction to some pinches or some advantageous fights that Immortals think they have, that's just never the case.
Now Golden Guardians just continuing to push their advantages, taking all these outer turrets. So they had 4, Jolly, where they're working on number 5. Make that number 6. As in 20 minutes, no outer towers remain for Immortals AOE. Okay, yeah, they get an objective bounty. That's all well and good, but they still got 7,000 gold to somehow diminish. And the jungle camps are still being taken. This is a tough one for Immortals, Trevor. He's trying to find whatever he can, but really, Immortals are at this point where they're going to have to just make a crazy play. They like to flip games at times, and if there was ever a time to do that, Jolly, it would be here and now.
It really would be. Not much of a vehement front line. I mean, Trevor doesn't have an item, dude. Trevor doesn't even have an item. So as this frontliner is supposed to be absorbing all this damage, it's really difficult. We see right there, Meech gets jumped on here by Sticks. They're gonna have to flash over. The wall is locked down. Trevor should be able to pick this one up. It's Shochi that actually gets the kill. That means that Meech is in a pretty vulnerable spot. Solar Flare coming out on the backside. A beautiful final spark as well. Forces a flash out of Shochi. Trevor low. Meech low. Anime Girl comes in just in time to provide a little bit, but it's not enough. Meech likely gonna go down right here. Can he escape from this? You see the Teemo thumbs up. Ryoma knows he's faster than Jin at the moment. No flash available anymore. And man, Golden Guardians lose 1 member in that fight. Of course, it's Stix Day, so that's a big deal.
You know, as big a deal as
Hey,
plays Immortals can be at this moment. Yeah, you're right.
We're gonna give them as much as possible here.
You're right. You can see it, Winston. Like, no matter what is going on, you can't say this man doesn't try. He's looking for the angle. The problem is, well, there was no angle to be found, Jolly. I mean, yeah, sure, you get Stix A. That's all well and good. A nice shutdown in Shochi's pocket. 1 for 4.
Yeah, not a win in the overall, that's for sure, right? You can't even try to consider it that way. And then the chase down onto Meech is unfortunate. Ryoma, I love that. The flash. And then the little emote here saying, ha, I got you. You can try to run away, but you're not going to be fast enough. He absolutely knows, and that's just going to pad Ryoma's stats even more. 700 gold bounty, sitting at 7, 3, and 7.
Yeah, also Mountain Soul is up and available for Golden Guardians Academy. I mean, they can take this whenever they please. Immortals, well, we're going to see. Maybe Iconic will do the thing where a 50-50 no longer is a 50-50.
Definitely seeming like it. Not only, like, Golden, we haven't even touched on the fact that they've got one of the best side laners since draft, right? Because that has been the case. We've seen so much coming out of Tony Top. Ryoma looking for something. The Solar Flare coming out on the backside. Iconic doing a lot of damage.
Look
here.
at the lineup.
Spark applies so much as well. That's 3 members that it hits. The Crescent Sweep comes out once again in a defensive manner. Very unfortunate if you're Winston. And hey, look at that Hextech Ultimatum comes out. So much damage on a Tony Top, though. You know you're solo in that instance, right? Not even able to pick up a single kill.
Okay.
Call. Now, in response, this is a great play from AOE, from Immortals. That last shot is going to hit Ryoma, though. That means Stixay finds it another one. Stixay is at 100% health right here. Is going to be able to use the Gale Force to follow this one up. Doesn't hit the Q, but that's totally okay. So much damage now to come out.
Oh, this could be Stixay's Penta. It's Stixay's Penta.
That is the Quadra. The Penta kill picked up. No way, by Stixay. Give us 2 here. And that might be the end of the game. Golden Guardians Academy set themselves up for such a big fight. And oh my god, there's a reason this man was pro. There's a reason he is likely going to go back.
Oh my god, what a fight coming from Golden Guardians Academy. They aren't going to take more than that inhibitor, but it feels like they've gotten everything, Jolly. Immortals AOE just falling to pieces. And this was a long fight when you think about it, too. It started all the way here at this Soul, where you get a lot of damage coming through from both sides here. But I mean, ultimately, they just got very, very slowly walked down like very geriatric dogs. They're walking. They're getting there. Tony Top.
The flash too.
Well,
I didn't even see the flash by Tony Top.
Yeah, that was ambitious. You give Meech a lot of gold, but I mean, you see what's going to happen here. They're going to get slowly picked apart by Ryoma. They're getting there. You know, he went almost full tank, so give him a second. And
all
well,
it takes.
yeah, it's all it takes. 6A
And
starts
then
popping off.
6A had the red buff on that the whole time. I mean, 6A was sitting pretty at 100% health.
Sure was.
Was kind of far behind to pick up on that, especially given the fact that the Solar Flare was applied to both 6A and Chime in the backside, and that's going to be yet another final spark that comes through the ace in the hole on top of it. Tony Top picks up the 1. They're going to lock down Anime Girl here, at least for a little bit. Is able to get out of the Hextech ultimatum. It's going to be Winston on the backside, splitting apart this fight. Meech will be the target here for Ryoma. Still has a lot of health, moving over to Shoji.
Buffs.
But Winston is in. They're going to follow this one up. Stays alive for so dang long, and now it is 6A, it is Chime looking for something here. The Abyssal Dive does come through, but man, 6A just does so much dang damage. Even with Winston on the run here, Anime Girl will likely go down. Even grabbing all of that health, 6A just needs to move a step forward, but it's going to be Chime. Already has the final spark up. I'm pretty sure that was 2 times just in this fight. 6A has such long range. 1 shot onto Winston here will be enough to do it. Can the pinch come through? No, it's going to be abandoned, and Winston barely gets out with his life.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, Chime though.
Chime,
Chime,
I would like to speak.
Chime. Oh,
Wow.
okay, just to pick up
He
the
got
kill.
it.
He got it. He was looking for the pinch. 6A very clearly said, nah, I'm done with this one. But hey, Winston goes down. That's another gray screen. And it's the jungle.
Yeah.
Worth it for Golden Guardians. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, the curtain call is nice, but iconic. This point is pretty tanky, and a lot of the shots were missed. Look at who's here, Ryoma. So, sorry, buddy, these curtains are closed as he forces Meech away.
Now 6A, 13, 2, and 5.
It's a lot of kills.
That is a lot of kills. That's, you know, several assists on top of it. So much gold. Ryoma has participated so heavily in all of these fights as well. And hey, we're over the 25-minute mark, all right? At least Immortals has staunched the bleeding a little bit. It's not as bad as feeling a 25-minute loss, but the longer and longer this game goes on, we're getting closer and closer to a 10k gold lead here for Golden Guardians Academy. And man, you know, I don't want to say all is lost, but it's really feeling that way. Even when these fights start out in Immortals' favor, Golden Guardians are able to turn them around thanks to the survivability they have within both Ryoma and Iconic.
Well, Covey always says, it's not over till the fat lady sings, but she's taking a big, deep breath right now, Jolly, as Immortals lose yet another player. It's probably going to be 2. This could be the end.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Warming up her voice for sure. And we see the Baron buff still has another 2 minutes left on it. The first inhibitor has been exposed, at least in the mid side. Trevor's going to go in. That should be Chime, who goes down here to the Chaos Storm. A lot of damage on Amish, though, who flashes and immediately gets taken down in response. Trevor, the next one to fall. And now they're just going beyond this bottom lane tower to try to take down the final surviving member, Shochi, who manages to stay alive thanks to Flash. But that's another 10 seconds before Winston, who is the next member, will be up 20 for Anime Girl to follow that one.
Yeah,
Golden Guardians Academy looking to end the game. Shochi, try to get in there to do something, but you're going to get the hook shot. You're gonna get the Hextech ultimatum. Shochi goes down to Iconic. They don't even have to focus these towers. This is absolutely the end of not just the game, but of the tournament for Immortals AOE. And just like the majority of the casting just anticipated, it's going to be Golden Guardians Academy facing off against 100 Thieves next in tomorrow's games. Try to pad the stats right there is Ryoma, who's not going to be able to do that. I think the remaining members right here need to make the end happen. They're not going to do it. They try to pad the stats. They still have the Baron buff. Tony Top says, hey, I should have enough damage potentially. Flashes away right there from the W coming out. Winston goes in with the Crescent Sweep. The game's not over, Beatdown? What?
Yeah, apparently not. Game is not over. Oh my god, that ace in the hole does half of Meech's health. I mean, the game, any second now, you know, that's 4 cannon minions, 5 cannon minions.
Ooh, it's 6A who gets jumped on. The Solar Flare comes out. I mean, sure, it's cannon minions, but it's 5 members of Immortals. Did they just allow... They allowed Immortals to save the game right here. Sure, that might not turn a lot in their favor. They're still down by 9,000 gold, but that absolutely should have been the end, and Golden Guardians Academy decided not to hit the Nexus.
I mean, this is a big deal. Elder Dragon is up right now. I mean, Chime's doing a pretty good job at just kind of like buying time. He's full health, 2.5 items on this Lux. Does mean that a lot of damage is going to be able to come through. He has Flash, has Ignite, and is going to be able to run enough interference, I think, for his team to come back here. The teleport, though, does make it a little mixy here. This is Immortals' pretty much last chance, Jolly, to keep the series alive.
Hey, they made it happen. This year, it's still going, right? That's a big deal.
No
China's
smite?
able to pick up Winston.
Oh, okay.
It is a grab, though, of course, from Meech. Winston went down just a little bit too
Oh,
early here.
way
The
they
Realm
catched
Warp
that.
from Ryoma, though, and all is absolutely not lost for Golden Guardians. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. All is lost for Immortals. Trevor, you're not going to be able to stall out Ryoma. You are still just a lowly Leona. One more auto is all it's going to take to do it. And Golden Guardians, hey, they're probably not going to make that mistake again, but they managed to sweep out Immortals AOE this time, taking over 30 minutes still. A pretty decisive win here for Golden Guardians, and they find themselves now preparing for tomorrow for the grand finals up against 100 Thieves next.
Yeah, it's not how it's not how I thought the game would end. It was definitely more of a whimper than a bang, but Jolly, I'm done. Throw it to the analyst, please.
Right? That game was a bang. All right, Beatdown. That game was a bang. We had some amazing plays from both teams, right? I really did like the composition that Immortals had to offer this game compared to the last. But once again, we saw kind of a replay of game number 1. Winston picked up all of the early kills and just was not able to lead that into the later half of the game. And man, Stixay, right? You don't give Stixay somebody like Caitlyn. We already saw what could be done with some range on somebody like Jinx. Just not an offering that you want to serve up to this team of Golden Guardians. And they won once again on the blue side here. So that is going to do it for us, Beatdown. Of course, we do have some interviews coming up after this. We do have the analyst desk going to break down some of those plays, review some of these things. So, of course, don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back with more of a breakdown here between, man, two such good teams, Golden Guardians Academy and Immortals AOE. Stick
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Unified Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier. We have our grand finals here. This is exciting. We have the run back of Golden Guardians Academy taking on 100 Thieves all the way here at the end. Smats, you've been around with me for this entire ride here over on the Academy channel. How are you feeling seeing these two matchups square up against each other for the first time since the qualifying part of it?
It's going to be a great final tomorrow. It's a best of 5 as well. The last time these two teams played against each other was best of 1, so it's going to be a lot more action. And yeah, 100 Thieves Next did end up winning that best of 1 in the open qualifiers, but Golden Guardians looked completely on another level. The practice, the hours that this team has been putting in over this tournament, Academy, and LCS lock-in, it's really showing wonders, and I really do think that this team is looking a lot better. Now, this game was definitely more fun than the other ones that we've seen, a little bit less calculated, at least in the later stages, but, you know, they deserve it for sure.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of fun on the desk when we were going back to it. I think we can all have a vouch for that one. As we had everything that game could have, a bit of chaos, a little sprinkle of everything nice, a pentakill as well. So, I mean, this series had everything, and we got the draft up here. I want to ask, first off, starting with you, Vakin, who are you looking at here? Are you looking at anything in specific that sticks out to you in this draft?
Well, from a draft perspective, it kind of feels similar to the previous draft, funnily enough, where Golden Guardians had their plan set out from the get-go. We're going to take away some of these characters. We're going to leave open these, what I guess in their opinion, they felt were bait power picks, right? Because if you force onto a scaling mid matchup, they just feel more than comfortable forcing on your bot lane, gaining a lead, and then ending the game before the victor ever gets online. In this game, it didn't fully end up playing that way because they ended up throwing a little bit, and Chochi almost popped off. But the same game plan was there from the get-go, and from Immortals' side, it felt very reminiscent of the last draft, where they picked Leona after Kate Lux was already picked, which felt really weird. They kind of just handshook a losing matchup, and that was the only major lead that mattered that Golden Guardians got. So again, it fell back to last draft, where it feels like Immortals was kind of drafting their own team, didn't look at really the enemy picks a lot, and then Golden Guardians got away with their game plan all over again.
Fire. You agree with this assessment? Is this exactly how everything played out for you?
Yeah, I think I do think this draft was the story of off-theme picks. You know, having the Leona with this comp with the Victor, the Xin Zhao, the Jin, that, you know, are these champions that really want to make space. There was multiple times in every fight where we were like, oh, yep, Leona's going to go in and she's going to die, right? Because she's diving into this Kate Lux. On the flip side, though, we did also have the Poppy, which I was championing for at the beginning. I was like, oh, I think this pick is good. Vaken was telling me not so much, and I think I got to be with Vaken now. The champion did look pretty rough in a lot of those fights. It would just go in and die. I thought it was really funny in some of those final fights how the Rise was 10 times tankier than this poor little Poppy trying to go in for these plays, you know? So I think those are, you know, just a couple little things both these teams can look at, is making sure that really all their champions fit together. But I really also just do have to give props to Ryoma for that Rise pick. You know, once the Victor had been picked and a bunch of the other popular mids were banned, we were kind of asking well, where do you go? And a lot of it is personal flavor. Some people will go Zoe there, some people will go Rise, some people will go Syndra, right? But he picked the Rise, and again, even though he fell behind early, wasn't able to have this huge impact that you would want, he still found his time, he scaled up, he made it into the game. And those are some of the scariest kinds of players, because it can feel like even if you get a lead, you don't actually think you're winning the game. It can feel like you're constantly fighting against this pressure and against this clock. And as a mid laner, if you're able to put that on the enemy team, it's a huge asset.
I believe one of the comments that we had, and I do want to revisit something that you were talking about there, is there was a comment of from EDG that was brought up in our conversation about Poppy. It's the Yumi of the jungle.
Yeah, kind of just there to facilitate, add on to the team. Doesn't really do a lot by itself. It did do a good job of denying the Leona in some plays, again making the Leona look even more out of place. But yeah, some interesting parts to both drafts. I think both teams came in with strong game plans, but definitely Golden Guardians were super honed in and executed really well.
Absolutely, and we have some replays to show how Golden Guardians was able to get themselves going inside of this. And we started off with Stitze, a big star inside this series for sure. Yeah. And he had some phenomenal stuff just going his way.
This is the best Caitlyn game of the tournament, I'd say. I don't think it's particularly close either. And it's because of stuff like this.
Yeah, so I mean, they are just able to consistently give Stixxay the room to get a huge lead, right? I mean, here we see this Rise ult deep behind the tower, forcing Meech behind his tier 2 to base, and Stixxay is eating all the plates by himself, eating the full tower by himself, denying all these creeps. You see here, he'll actually stop hitting the tower, making sure those few extra range creeps die in the back, getting the solo local first turret gold. I was about to say like solo loco or something. I mean, which is what Stixxay could have done this game. Right when he based here, we were laughing. It was like Gale Force Berserker Greaves to Swifties and 2 longswords or something. Stixxay was super poised to just completely annihilate this game by himself. Although it's not quite how it ended up turning out, as we'll see in the next replay. Like, you know, they didn't quite execute.
Yeah, it was a very scary situation for him, as Stixxay might as well have been the villain, and the anime girl came to the rescue over to take care of Stixxay, and it was just interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I give full props to Anime Girl here. He definitely recognized this really free opportunity where Chime is just kind of letting his AD carry push up on the wave alone, right? Honestly, Anime Girl definitely turned into the main character here to salvage the game state. So super props to him to actually look proactively for this play that broke so much of Golden Guardian's tempo. This play, I believe, happens at about 10 minutes, and it then halts their tower taking for at least a solid 3 to 4 minutes, which honestly is the only thing that really made this game like not completely a open and shut case from after they took bot tower so early. So real big props to Anime Girl for finding that way to make the game feel a lot more winnable. How absolutely terrible the early game was looking for them.
Yeah, like you said, Bacon, once you break that bot tower, the game is kind of a flowchart. You just send the Caitlyn top, she pushes in again, she takes more plates, she gets a bigger lead, she breaks the tower, she bases, uses her massive gold lead to buy more items, goes mid, does the exact same thing, and Anime Girl was able to say like, nope, I'm going to put a stop to that right now. This is going to be my story. This is my anime, not yours. But, you know, unfortunately, in the end, it wasn't enough. But it was a really, really solid play and a good heads-up play. Because Anime Girl was just sitting there basing and was like, wait a second. This could be good.
It sets up the character arc for next season.
There you go. There you go.
There was a question. There was a tweet there that apparently Anime Girl does not watch
anime. That's funny.
Anime. What? Why?
Why? I respect it. That's so meta. It's so extremely base. I respect it. I got respect for that. That's like naming yourself I don't know, like LeBron James, but you never watch basketball.
Definitely spicy.
Super based, unbelievably based.
I'm speechless. I don't have any words.
Yeah, I mean, it's like naming yourself Fire, but actually, like, you can't breathe fire out of your mouth. So
yeah, you know,
that'd be kind of weird.
Exactly.
Oh,
what's
yeah.
the
Obviously,
the
you
point?
can do that though.
Calling him out, yeah.
No, he can do it. See, watch.
Oh.
Do it.
We can't show it on here.
It's
not safe.
I understand.
It's like considered not safe, you know, like.
Yeah, it messed with the equipment and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, all this high tech equipment I got here.
Another time.
Yeah.
Another time.
Yeah.
But something that we have the time for right now, Smats, is a pentakill. Our second one here inside of the qualifier. And Smats, this was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, so, you know, Stixxay may not have had the smoothest of mid-game transitions with all of the turrets that he was not able to take, but the pentakill is on his resume here, and it's a good way to sort of close the book on this tournament, because eventually, you know, Stixxay is going to get subbed out for Violet, but at the end of the day, I think we'll all remember Stixxay's performance in this tournament and how he really stepped up to make sure that his team is able to progress through this tournament and get all the reps in that they need. And at the end of the day, that's what being a coach is all about. You got to teach these youngins how it's done. Got to smurf on some kids, getting these pentakills on the Caitlyn from Arcane. And yeah, I'm personally proud of Stixxay. He really stepped it up. And yeah, big ups to him. There it is, pentakill. He gets the dabbing penguin.
With the dabbing penguin, you love to see it.
Huge.
I just like the narrative that if anybody ever gets out of line on the team now, as him as the coach, he can just turn around and be like, remember I carried you guys with that pentakill, you know? Semifinals, took you to the finals. Remember that? That was me.
It's a coach gap.
And the coach just comes up and slaps a pentakill in front of you. I think you just listen.
Yeah.
Going into this, I want to get your guys' thoughts. A little bit of a preview, if you will, because tomorrow is the finals, and it's 100 Thieves Nets, Golden Guardians Academy. These two teams have not fought each other since the Open Qualifier, in which 100 Thieves Nets were the victors of it. I'm gonna start with Vacant. How are you feeling going into it?
I'll definitely be honest. I think both teams today, I think these games should have been less close than they were, right? I'd say both teams had shaky faults, right? They would end up either, if they got the lead early, they would drop it, or they dropped the lead initially, then had to pick it back up and regain the pace of the game. So it's definitely a little bit messy execution, even though both teams ended up with 2-0s. It's going to be rather interesting to see how they go into the finals in a BO5 aspect, where even if like they gain an early lead in the series, they might get complacent or get a little bit sloppy and end up throwing the game. So it's going to be a really, really close series. I do think from like a personal point, I think probably 100 Thieves will end up taking it. But it'll definitely be like a slaughter going back and forth. I don't think it's going to be one team definitively over the other, so just based off of today's performances alone.
And to add to that, I think their weaknesses were very similar. I think their strengths were also pretty similar and mirroring each other, because they won in the late game through big carry performances from their bottom lane. Both top laners had really solid flanks with the teleports as well. Like it's very mirrored execution in these games, with the weaknesses at the same time where they were falling behind in early game. We made a joke in the middle of that fourth game where we kind of just watched 4 of the same game of League of Legends today in the semifinals.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and I think when you do have those situations, we talked about this last week as well. Qualifier, you mentioned this, where if there's two teams that are very similar, it just ends up who is better at executing on the day. And yeah, I'm with you, Vacant. I think 100 Thieves will probably end up being that team, but we'll have to find out tomorrow who can bounce back better.
Qualifier, you're the wholesome one, right? Everybody here is letting their bias come out. Smats is over here on the.
Am I really that biased?
He does. No, Smats doesn't have bias. I'll give him the pass on this one. He didn't have the bias moment earlier. Qualifier, I know you were on it. Stitzik got a pentakill, man. What does this man have to do to sway you?
Yeah, that he did. I mean, I think, honestly, I feel like the series tomorrow won't be close. All right. But I think both teams have a good chance of winning it. All right. Because what we saw today from 100 Thieves was them really struggling in that early game. Right. They fell behind both times in the early game. I mean, for that first game, we were like, this game could just be over at like 7 or 8 minutes. Right. But they were able in both those games to come back and win those late games from these huge deficits. Right. Which is super impressive. And then looking at Golden Guardians Academy, they were able to get those early leads, which could threaten 100 Thieves next, right? Like we were saying, if Golden Guardians Academy can actually get those leads and hold on to them, right, they are less likely to throw in the late game stages, right? And 100 Thieves next might never get those big late game fights that they want. So I think if Golden Guardians Academy is able to control those early games, stop a couple of their throws from coming through, then I think they have a real chance at shutting 100 Thieves next out. However, I think if their early games don't go according to plan, or if 100 Thieves next is able to get into those late game scenarios where it seems like time and time again, no matter how much gold they're down, no matter how many kills, towers, whatever, they still manage to find a way back, then it's gonna be really, really tough. So we'll have to see. I'm excited to see how both of the teams prep for it. I'm excited to see if they have anything interesting up their sleeves, or if it's just going to be more scaling. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me as well. But with that, it's done for us here tonight on the desk at the very least. We do have to say goodbye to our fantastic guest talent that we had here today. Bacon, who has some phenomenal things going on for himself. Follow him on Twitter. Make sure you check him out. He drops a dank meme or two every now and again. And unlike Anime Girl, I think he watches anime. His profile picture's from Tower of God. So I'm hoping at this point in time that he does know Tower of God.
I'm persuaded to watch anime.
You're persuaded to watch anime.
I don't go about it.
I don't know what that
on my own
means.
accord.
What does that mean?
It means my girlfriend watches anime and I watch her with her. That's what it means.
Good
Okay,
job,
okay.
Cindy.
Hey, good job.
Yeah, shout out to Cindy.
Shout out.
Shout out to Sydney. But Qualifier as well. Thank you as well. Make sure you follow him. Qualifier League is his @ You can make sure to check him out for all of his league adventures. He's a superstar mid laner that you can catch out on and puts out some phenomenal stuff from time to time. And, you know, every now and then he'll post some things, possibly some taunts from hats being sent to him and all this other stuff. But good times on the horizon.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. You know, I've been an amateur for a while, so seeing like these players and things like that is always exciting for me to watch.
He's LFT for a team.
Yeah, there is
LFT.
there is that part.
LFT for a team,
If you guys need a strong mid laner, any of these teams, you know, that can do some analysis on the side, I'm here.
So, free agent. One last question in Qualifier, since you opened up the door for this. Are you willing to role swap?
Yes, actually, I can't really. I don't want to name names. I don't want to start any fires or anything like that. But watching, especially earlier on in some of these games for this qualifier, I was like, I could probably play that role better than that guy. I think maybe I'd be better at that role than that guy. You know, we'll see if it actually does go anywhere. But I'm open.
So the 5 in Qualifier stands for just 5 fires in each role.
There you go.
With that being said, thank you so much to our guests. We are going to actually throw it over to our interview that we actually have at this current moment in time, in which we have Tony Top. Tony, how's it going, man?
Yeah, I think it's going pretty good.
I mean, yeah, after that game, and you had some fantastic flanks. Got to play the Camille inside of game number 2 and had a fantastic Gwen in game number 1. How's it feel to be able to punch your way into the finals here?
Yeah, I actually feel pretty good that I got to play like cameos, because I really like to play cameo. Then like, yeah, I've been working on my flank. I've been trying to. My flank was not looking good before, but I think it's slowly getting better. Like how I play teamfight right now.
And I have to ask, you know, Stitze did get the pentakill. Is he loud during these pentakills, or is he just quietly getting these?
I did play loud on it. He's like, yeah, first pentakill, woohoo, with that.
That's phenomenal to hear for you. And I mean, you talked about you've been improving throughout here. You guys have 100 Thieves nets. How do you feel about going into your matchup against Sniper on the other side of the rift?
I think he's actually not bad, so it's gonna be like pretty fun matchup top against him.
Sweet. I love to hear that. And you guys, we had 100 Thieves nets earlier on, and they said they're convinced that it's a 3-0 in their favor. You got any words to fire back? Is it going to be a 3-0 for you guys? Did they got the score right, but on the wrong side?
I mean, I think we improved. So they beat us before, but I think we improved a lot after that. So like I'm actually pretty like confident that we're gonna win. It's gonna be like maybe like 3-1, I would say.
3-1. So you're giving the benefit that they can maybe get one game off of you.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Well, there's a lot of Tony Top fans out there, man. I hear a lot about people cheering on for Tony Top. What do you got to say before we end off this interview for anybody who's been along with you for the ride as you've been going throughout this wild ride?
Just thanks for the helps for all my fans. If I won.
I'll have to see, man. Hey, look, I'm cheering. See exactly what you'll be able to do. See those nasty flanks. Hopefully we get to see you on more Gwen and Camille in the future and get to see you pop off all the same. That being said, thank you so much, Tony, for the interview. We are going to go ahead and end it here. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Thank you, Tony, for coming in. And that's it here for us on the Unified Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier. We hope you all have yourselves a phenomenal evening. Make sure you tune in tomorrow to see Tony Top, the man, the myth, over here take on the side of 100 Thieves and Sniper over on the opposing side. So have yourselves a fantastic evening.